late, pushing my own weight. Dealer Vega Omega was born in cassette tapes. In 88, hip-hop took control. Back then, when my girlfriend's name was Nicole, rest in peace her soul. We had fun, I think back. Child prodigy, gifted in black. Freestyling, we wildin', banging on tables. I still have fun, Montreal run me and Babel. Living on cable, living on TV screens, internet, DVD. What does this all mean? My life is like a dream, but inside I wanna scream. Cause when I wear my sneakers and jeans, I feel 17. My mama says get the cream, but hazardous money schemes to desecrate the art. I navigate my heart and delegate the sparks that emit when the pen hits the paper. From this Piscean water vapor originator.
I've been here since it started. I've walked 1,000 miles. I'm here to beg your pardon. Seen through 1,000 smiles. And when the day is over, I hope your will is done. I hope your getting over. I hope you're having fun.
Like Run DMC, it's time to show up, blow up like TNT, or stay down like a nomad wearing a crown. I ricochet my vocabulary to slay the fake. Make no mistake, we know who you are. Fake rock stars hiding behind guitars.
I've been here since it started. I've walked 1,000 miles. I'm here to beg your pardon. Seen through 1,000 smiles. And when the day is over, I hope your will is done. I hope you're getting over. I hope you're having fun.
everlasting gaze, enchanted in the rapture of his sentimental sway. But underneath the wheels, like the skulls of every cog, the fickle fascination of an everlasting God. You know I'm not I'm just living in my view, forever waiting a cruel death. You know I'm not I'm just living for myself, forever waiting. You know I'm not dead. You know I'm not dead. You know I'm not dead. You know I'm not dead.
Hard to remember if anything was real. Cold like December, and I don't like how that feels. I've been living a long time, I've been giving a long time too. And I can't believe I wasted so much time on you. But time has brought me back around to me, and I feel so free. Now who's gonna give me some sugar tonight? A sugar tonight, a sugar tonight. Now who's gonna give me some sugar tonight? A sugar tonight, a sugar tonight. Bad like Brutus, feel like Joe Louis. I got slots of cash, but I'm not Jewish. I'm not no nudist. I'm fully clothed and I fuck hot pussy until it's cold. Got rhymes of gold, got a voice of platinum. I'm not Dwayne Wayne, but that's what's happening. I'm back in black, and if you have to ask, you can kiss my Anglo-Saxon ass. Now who's gonna give me some sugar tonight? A sugar tonight, a sugar tonight. Now who's gonna give me some sugar tonight? A sugar tonight, a sugar tonight. Hot like a toddy, smooth like my Dobby. Around the way they call me bathroom Bobby. Sugar is my hobby and my greatest joy, and that's why they call me Cowboy. No job, I come alive like Frampton. I'm big in the Seinfeld's house in the Hamptons. Grab my style, go ahead and give it your best, but I ain't met a motherfucker who can do that yet. Now who's gonna give me some sugar tonight? A sugar tonight, a sugar tonight. Now who's gonna give me some sugar tonight? A sugar tonight, a sugar tonight. Now who's gonna give me some sugar tonight? Sugar tonight! Sugar tonight! Now who's gonna give me some sugar tonight? Woo, 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 woo. Now who's gonna give me some sugar tonight? Woo, 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 woo. They call me Shotgun Bobby, rock the young hotties, jock the John Gotti, sock the paparazzis, real life Fonzie, I roll like Yahtzee. I like stars and bars, but I ain't no Nazi. So how fuck you in the nose, fuck you in your flows, fuck you in your hoes, fuck you and your mother if you can't understand it. I'm the illest motherfucker on the goddamn planet.
I've been fucking niggas since the 5th grade. Really ain't no difference if that nigga gay.
This is gonna be a fucked up show
Buddy,
right out the gate. I've never heard that Kid Rock track before. That was amazing.
It's good, right?
Yeah, man.
Kid Rock's got some good songs.
I'm no nudist. I'm fully clothed, and I'll
I
fuck
fuck
that
hot-
pussy. I'll fuck hot pussy until it's cold.
He's just saying facts.
Buddy, what? What?
I got stacks of cash, but I'm not Jewish. Whatever he wants to just rap like the old days, I love it, and I'm not ashamed of. I'm not ashamed of anything I listen to anymore. I'll put that right side by side with Crystal Castles and then Radiohead. I'm gonna have a good drive.
Yep. Nice.
Someone's Michi Pichi here says Blood Satellite radio show when. I've been waiting years for someone to ask that of me. Judas has been on the receiving end of my mixtapes and samplers for like, I don't know, how long have we known each other? 47 years?
Since we were kids, yeah.
Yeah. Trying to get people into music. And that's why I started the show. Now you're locked in here with me, having to listen to Kid Rock while you get to whatever the new bit is.
I'm just like, Judas, you want to borrow another one of my compact discs? I'm like, my mom said I'm not allowed to take any more of your compact discs.
I'm not allowed any more CDRs. It's another Guar mix. Okay, cool. Oh, they got enough. They got enough of a catalog for a third sampler. Like, this is just the later years. People are lining up at the slop trough to hear the latest bit. I got one I've been working on like for a week. So I've been thinking a lot about Bong, James Bong.
James Bong.
Yes, Bong, James Bong. I'm smoking the weed.
All right, that's pretty good. That's all right. I thought you were going to go Chinese with it.
It's me, James Bain Bong. Once you rip this bong, then you have my permission to die. Me sitting in my fucking car, motor running, trying to like feverishly type that into the shared doc. Like they're gonna love this.
James Bain Bong. Yeah, good.
Bill Wilson did catch the later lyric of the Kid Rock song. I like stars and bars, but I ain't no Nazi. No joke. I was debating going in and editing that out before putting it into the mix. I've got a lot of audio editing experience. I could make this 100%.
Yeah. It would have made as much sense if he had just said, I like stars and bars, but I am a Nazi. Because like stars and bars is American, isn't it?
Yeah, well, he's like, I'm an American, but I ain't not. But he's one of those guys. He's a Republican guy. He's anti-woke, but he's like, black people are more American. Yeah. Like he's one of the, like he's got all of his black friends. So he's not like who would he be like? Who did the fucking who's the guy who's into bow hunting? Who's the Republican? Anyway, it doesn't fucking matter. But he's the rumor is, and I'm not calling it a rumor because I've seen a tour of this. Kid Rock built a full-scale replica of the White House on his property, and he just uses it to party with whores. And I mean, if that's wrong, I don't want to be right. By the way, I did not get we didn't figure this out beforehand. We jumped right into it. Can you hear the sound effects? Did you hear that?
Yeah, buddy.
How is it coming through? Because it's been fucked up in there.
It's brutal. It's right in my ear, which is, I guess, yeah, there you go.
Well, that's how you know.
Mm-hmm.
We're having a great time. I'm checking the chat right now. Oh, shit, telephone. It will be very dank for you. Oh yeah, Mr. Ted Nugent. That was the guy I was thinking of. I always wonder if Ted Nugent, as he ages, is just going to get wilder with his takes. And we're not going to be playing any Jimmy Brown this time. I'm trying to break that cycle of abuse right now, even though I'm a big Brown head. Oh yeah, by the way, Bill wasn't. Dime's doing a history of Wiggerism when, and maybe we're the only show out there that actually reaffirms Wiggerism.
You could do a 5-part series. It'd be just you too, because I fucking hate it. But
you gotta. You're in this. Come on, hop in.
Yeah, all right, okay.
Water's fine.
I don't have anywhere else to be, so.
I got canned goods. You love that. You're like a canned guy.
All right, you got me with
Cop
cans.
in. Water's fine. Fishing's good.
Guy's in the lake with his can of beans here.
They came up with that term Wignat for Wigger nationalism as a pejorative. I don't accept that. A nation of Wiggers sounds fine to me.
I never understood that that's what it meant or why. Like in what? I don't get it. Wigger.
I imagine like a Slipknot fan.
Yeah.
Like during their kind of peak there.
The thing is, I've never met anyone who had been described as a Wignat who was actually a Wigger. That's why I don't get it.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Wignats you hear about, they're not Wiggers. They're not that class.
Yeah, like a bunch of ICP guys with like.
Would that they were.
Yeah.
Big, just giant Jinko jean shorts. Half of an N-word pass. Like they use it when they think it's safe, but when they use it, they really use it.
Yeah.
That's a solid Wigger move.
You can have the R, but you only get one G. That's how they do it.
What about if it's of the soft A, it's a soft G's? What's up, my nigga? See, black people don't know how to deal with the soft end. What's up? What's up? Here you go. Oh, TND. I'm just highlighting all Bill Wilsons. I'm showing my fucking bias here. TND through Wiggers. Yeah, of course. They are the tip of the spear of the. People talk about the interracial breeding grounds as if it's white people are being subjected to it. Have you ever thought about subjecting the black people to it? You're putting them in pens with the Wiggers, and they're breeding the black out. It's gone.
I don't think that's how it works.
It's probably. I haven't thought about it, but I'm like, what if we flip the script by doing nothing? We just switch up the guys.
It's the dominant genome, but I guess then it would actually be the Wiggers who come out on top.
Yeah, I reject that too.
Yeah, all right.
I tell you what I've been doing recently. Talking to Pete Quiones over there in some or other group chat. We're talking about how just because you got your beliefs, every so often you could have a bagel. You can listen to a rap song. And I said, hold the fort. I don't grant Jews bagels.
Yeah.
That's our thing.
Yep.
I've been saying it. You know who made bagels? Polish people.
Yep.
And I refuse to elaborate.
They want to take everything, dude. Like they wanted like, you hear the thing? Somebody's trying to tell me the other day, like it's a Jewish deli and that all these different types of sausages were Jewish. And it's like, it's a fucking pork sausage. What are you talking about? This is just Slavic food. They try to take all the good stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Like I will not grant them brisket. You don't get to have that cut of meat.
Every culture has a brisket. That's ridiculous. There we go.
Or like, they get cured meats too. No, that's Germans. Anything that I don't know what it was, the Polish get.
Also, isn't their whole thing that they don't want to do any work? Because it's like, I don't think you can. The music is distracting. It's really loud.
You should put this in post-production. I think things are coming through all fucked up on your end too. So I can turn it down a bit.
Jazz came out of nowhere, and it's like I'm sitting front row here.
It was unexpected jazz. You got to be ready for that. You've just encountered that throughout your day.
Yep.
Walking the dog, walking the wife.
Yep.
You're all discombobulated.
Suddenly there's jazz, and I was leaving a long VM for Mike. And then the wife walked by me and I lost my train of thought. I had to start over. But that just made it longer, which is, that's the value.
So just looking at here. Bro, they tried to take over our fucking pretzels, says Evan. Yes.
Yeah, I thought the thing with the pretzel is supposed to be like a reminder to prayer, like Christian prayer. Like it was a monk or something who came up with that. But again, everybody's like, oh, pretzels are Jewish. No, they're not. Come on.
You don't get that. What, they're going to try and take ribs? Smoked baby back ribs.
You can tell the stuff that's actually Jewish because it's awful. It's like fish in a jar and shit.
It's gefilte fish.
Yep.
And it's challah bread, which in the spectrum of breads, it's not anywhere near the high middle.
You can tell there's something wrong with the civilization when they don't like dogs, but even more so if they don't leaven their bread. Give me a break, guys. Come on. That's not even human if you don't put leavening in your bread.
We're taking a hard right into bread corner.
Dude, we can do it if you want to do it.
We're leaving wood corner on the scrap heap of history where it belongs. Maybe we're getting deep, waist deep, ankles in the muck into bread corner.
Yep.
I think sourdough is a good one. You know what? I gotta get some stuff out of my system first.
Let's hear it.
Because my life has become a maelstrom of calamities.
Go.
So, you know, when you get the house, you get 24 hours of feeling good about the house, of course. Then
you already regret it.
No, then it's good. It's like having a kid. Like the first day,
right.
A lot of people don't remember. Like for people who haven't ever birthed a child, a lot of people don't realize that men do the majority of the work in that. But so I'd like to say that I birthed our child. But there's the time where you leave the hospital, which is really fast, right? You're only there for like a day, and then they're like, "Oh, here you go, leave, be gone," and you're like, I just put this in the car. I've never used a car seat before. You're like, it hits you really fast.
Yeah.
That's kind of like with a house. Like, this is mine now. And then flash forward to, they get used to it though. You acclimate fast, like you do with a house. Then flash forward to now. So we've been here for a month, and 3 problems happened, one right after the other. One, leak in the roof or leak in the ceiling, damn spot, which meant, you know, hole in the roof of some kind. It's a new roof. When we bought it, they said it's a new roof.
Bullshit.
But there must be one part. There's actually like a spot on the very, very top. It's a pretty tall house, but that might not have been new. This is what the roof guy had said, but he can't get the drone up there because we're technically too close to an airport, and you literally can't fly drones when you're like, they won't start.
But how would they have done it 10 years ago before drones?
Crazy tall ladders, so he's got to go back to his ladder supply guy and find the tallest Bugs Bunny style ladder you can get.
He's down at the Wile E. Coyote ladder, Acme ladder shop. Yeah.
Okay, credible threat here is asking shed update. I'm getting to it. Buckle up. So that's the roof thing. That's going to be, because I'm getting beyond the boundaries of things that I can fix.
Yeah.
Like I can get up in the attic. I can root around. I can bullshit pretty well. You know, I have 2 testicles. I can like swing a hammer, but eventually this roof is going to fucking collapse in on me. And so, okay, we're going to get a roof type guy to fix this. So then we've also got ants. Ants made an appearance. That's not uncommon.
Where in the house did you find the ants?
In living room and kitchen.
Oh, jeez.
Carpenter ants. But
no.
That's not uncommon to houses like this, because our neighbors have them too, like all up and down the area.
Yeah.
So, you know, my wife, of course, does the all-natural spray. She found a recipe for a spray to ward off the ants. Of course, it doesn't work.
Of course.
And then I start putting up ant traps. Fine enough. But those don't work, because this is a big problem. Like, if it was that easy, then anyone would do it. Then ants would be fucking extinct.
Yeah.
But they're not. They're on the verge of taking over, as I've come to understand. Because these ones will eat. I'm giving people home advice here. They'll eat at your wood like termites. So I got to call in a guy.
Yep.
Here, how many more hundreds or thousands of dollars is this to do it right? Now, I had heard from our neighbor getting the 3rd thing, and now I'm just laughing. I'm just having a great ball because, you know, God has decided that I've had enough. He said, you've had enough nice things, and I got to show you a thing or two about pain. And I say, thank you. Thank you. May I have some more? So I decide, I'm talking to the neighbors about our chicken coop, because we got a chicken coop in the back. I'll spare you the whole story. Turns out that a family of turkey vultures lives in there.
What? What? No.
My wife had seen...
No, a family of turkey vultures lives in the coop. Who the fuck was living there before you?
Before the renovators there, it was just some weird old lady who didn't go back there. Like it's like
That's
very
insane.
run down, right? Because the other day,
turkey vultures are coyotes of the air, though. Like, you should be able to just get rid of them. like poison them or whatever, trap them, shoot them.
So the other day we were driving out of the house. I noticed 2 very large birds perched on top of the roof. And my wife said, "That's not a good omen." And I said, "Shut up. All right." You know what? I don't need this.
Yeah, turkey vultures. Oh man.
Because if you've ever seen a turkey vulture, there's no small vulture.
No, they're
you've
big,
ever
dude. We got them here. I just saw 4 of them this afternoon. We got them all over, but I've never seen them like on my property, like sitting.
Richard's asking, did the vultures just move in or were they moved in?
That's a good question.
I think what happens is, so we saw them on the roof, and my wife says, "That's an omen." I'm like, "I don't need more omens. I got enough on the plate. I got too much going on business-wise. I don't need this talk of specters and hauntings and whatnot." Then I start hearing that, oh, this is their home too. Like we're the ones moving in. And they had, I say a family of turkey vultures because they had birthed a child, a turkey vulture, in that abandoned chicken coop. And so I'd gone in there a few times, and every time I walked in, I felt a dark presence. And I would hear like a rustling. I'm like, I don't know about that. Not today, I said. Maybe not today.
It's a baby vulture. I'm going to come over with the BB gun, and we're going to camp out in your kitchen window and blast them.
Oh, Vitalist says, perfect. No omen, speak aloud, woman. True. First, if people have not been keeping up on the show, your favorite thing to do is to camp out nude in a window and shoot at varmints.
Yes. Oh, I love it. Sometimes I'll just roll the garage door up like 6 inches and just lay in the gravel and just shoot through the garage because then nobody can see me. I don't actually do that though. That'd be a crime. I've never done that.
Turkey vulture burgers.
Yes, dude. Nah, they're probably gross actually, but still.
Well, I could do something with that because despite all this, despite the universe of torment that I inhabit, I bought a smoker.
There you go. Smoked vulture. But you can just
vulture.
call it turkey. Just call it turkey. Yeah. Smoked turkey.
So despite all this, you can't understand the sheer power of a white man with a smoker.
Oh, dude. It was life-changing.
You know what? There's a lot of people listening. I've been hearing this. I got comments that come across my desk. I know for a fact there's people listening who don't know what it's like to have that raw, unhinged animal magnetism. Couldn't be me. I gotta tell you, the moment you get a smoker, the moment you get it going and you light it up, it's all you want to do.
Yeah.
This is what people did. You know, I heard some people talking like back in the day, years ago, and saying, what did people ever do before TV? Good question. And then once you have a kid, or several, but at least one, you're like, oh, you just watch them. They're better than TV. It's just a thing to do because you can watch them all day. And then they go to sleep, and then you drink, I guess. That was life. And then what else do you do to fill the time? You smoked meat. Mm-hmm. It's actually all you need to do. That and like tobogganing. When you can't do it, you're tobogganing.
Yeah, lots of stuff to do, actually. Plenty.
Credible Threat saying Dimes Smoker. We made like 3 racks of ribs. I bought them from Costco. I thought I was buying 2, got 3, natch. And then
what's your smoking recipe for the ribs?
Well, for the first one, obviously I was bullshitting my way through it. You can read 5 different tutorials on how to smoke the best ribs. They're all different.
There's so many ways. Like every time that we've done, say for example, every time we've done sausage, we've done it differently. I've like a dozen times now we do it differently because it's like everybody's got their own fucking way, and I forget to write it down. So,
and there was like, this is how the real pit masters do it, and I'm dangerously close to becoming a pit master type guy. I'm right on the precipice.
A pit apprentice. Okay, you'd be a pit journeyman at this point. I
don't know how you haven't become this because it's a really, really trying not to say a really attractive guy to be. Can I say I gotta call out Mitchy Peachy in the chat, by the way? She fucked me up on the last stream yesterday as I was logging off the stream. Clossington, great interview.
Yeah.
She's in the chat. She says, "Buy dimes," spells it B-I. I've been thinking about that ever since she got my ass.
You got him.
Just right at like the 11th hour, right under the goal line.
Limes.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, doesn't matter. 1, nothing wrong with me. 2, nothing wrong with me. 3, nothing wrong with me.
Something's got to give.
Dimes is going to grow a ZZ Top beard and start wearing cowboy boots. Who wants to tell him?
You don't know what he looks like. That's pretty much what he looks like already.
I'll tell you what, Fortisax is the one with like the proper like Viking type beard if you ever see him. But I've got 4 pairs of cowboy boots.
Yes.
Here's how many I've got. I've got every day walking around cowboy boots, and I got my fancy going out cowboy boots. And then I got the ones for like business. By the way, the business ones are the ones with embroidered skulls and fucking barbed wire on them.
It means you mean business, but you don't wear them to the executive luncheon.
Yeah, I got different personas. It's got, and just like I said, I can't become a pit boss guy. That's where you get the leather apron.
Yeah.
Which I've always associated with Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but apparently it's something, you know, round soy-faced guys do now.
Yeah.
Because it's so easy to get be a smoker. That's your personality now. Now you got your smoker, but then you build a station around it. Now you've got like a smoker area with side fucking tables.
Oh shit! Are you supposed to do that?
What was that?
Are you supposed to do that? I got mine in the corner of the garage. It's like surrounded by old shovels and shit. And then
you go out of your way to camouflage everything in like a Fallout way. Like there's no reason to have shovels on your smoker. You're doing that to prove something. You're doing that to rile me up. Putting extra combustibles draped over it, you fucking asshole.
And it's a Chinese electric smoker, and I never clean it. And yeah, no, it can be a thing.
Look, you had to go out of your way to get a Chinese smoker.
Pay extra for that. Pay extra for the shit. Like literally garbage.
So is it actually like did you get a deal or what's the story?
Everything's Chinese. No, I just got it. I got it at Canadian Tire. It was the cheapest model and it was on sale. It was like a Father's Day weekend or something. So yeah.
That's pretty much the only thing to buy a man these days. Like if you're wondering what to get a man who's got it all, it's like smoker, a $75,000 watch.
Yeah.
Or like what?
Like the
boat.
You know, the fanboying aside, I actually don't understand. It's like, to me, it's like a boomer thing maybe, but I don't understand why the average person, unless you live in a tiny apartment, doesn't have one. Like they're not that expensive. They don't take up a lot of space. And they, beyond making delicious food, they're kind of a labor saver because there's a lot of stuff you can do in there for like bulk food processing that you can't do with an oven. Like you can do like bulk cooking and then put stuff in the freezer or in the cellar. So like that's what we love it for. Like we'll do like I've told you before, like 5, 6, 10 kilo of sausage at once or jerky. So I mean, it's utilitarian as well. Yeah. So
look, here's Berwick. He's calling out future me, and he's right on. He says only matter of time till Dime starts making those YouTube short smoker slob videos. Hey guys, I know you've heard of the 3-2-1 method, but I got something that's going to save you a lot of time and energy. It's the 1-2-3 method. Because, okay, I'm going to tell you one thing I learned, because you can really go down a rabbit hole with this shit, right? And it reaffirms every racial prejudice you've ever had. Because if you're watching barbecue or smoker videos from white guys, very restrained. You know, you don't need to gussy up brisket. You don't got to do a lot to it. It's just the type of wood, do a rub and whatnot, maybe do some injection. But if you watch, it's like a smoked ribs video from a black guy, and they're usually like a southern black guy, it's like a 20-step layering of flavors where you combine. It's like you combine every color and it just makes brown. So you're not only you got the rub on there, and then you're spritzing it throughout with a mix of like orange juice and cider and a concoction of a spritz, and then you take it off, and then you cover it in brown sugar, and then you put barbecue sauce on, and then it just keeps going. They just keep adding stuff on top of
It's
it.
bullshit, honestly. It's bullshit.
It's fucking wild. But this is how, if you watch any black cooking videos, they do the exact same thing. And this was the big rivalry that was revealed, like, I think, like last year, where that was white people don't season their food. And it's like, but if you watch black cooking videos, they just dump seasoning and they make like a crawfish boil. And it's like a big pot in their yard. And it's like onion powder, garlic powder, and then Old Bay seasoning, then a bag of chips, then a whole fucking pineapple, and then a bottle of orange juice. Like, they're just stuff.
You know what, though? It's because their diet consists mostly of over-processed foods and chemicals, and they never brush their teeth, so they have terrible oral hygiene, and so they can't taste shit. The only way they can taste anything is if it's full of so many acids that it shocks them awake. So yeah, sorry, we don't need to do that. We can actually taste a reasonable amount of spice on our food.
Yeah, see, Wookdev called it even before I said the crab boil thing. And I'm a guy who likes, you know, boiling crabs and shit. Like, I've been to like seafood bowls and I like it, but I'm like, this is just a show off. Like, this is just slamming your face into a wall of flavor.
Yeah.
Sean Schaefer points out other things you can buy: a gun, Warhammer, another gun. I mean, we're already there, except for Warhammer. I can't go with you down that road. You were never into that stuff, right?
Warhammer?
Were you?
I was into Warhammer as a kid, like as a teenager.
I was going to say, so Behold here says, just paying my tithe, carry on. That is $20 US.
Buddy.
That is 50 Canadian dollars. Thank you so much.
That's my rent. Thank you.
Oh, Zhang Wei says, boutique black barbecue pales in comparison to Chinese borscht.
Oh, yes. Chinese borscht is fucking good, man.
So we got a lot to get to. This is going to be a real buffet of an episode. I call this Nairaland because I got very excited stumbling across a Nigerian forum, and some people had circulated some stories from there. Just, hey, here's what Africans are talking about. But there's a couple of things I wanted to get to first. Not to start us off on a very angry foot, but let's look at the Daily Beast right here. Just as, you know, news on tariffs, news on what Trump's doing, deportations, everything is up to. Trump wants to hand immigrants cash to self-deport. I just heard this. I heard of it today. I believe it would have broke yesterday. So I know you are very hotly cold on Trump right now.
Yes.
But here's the plan. Here's what I've heard. Donald Trump is looking to pay migrants directly to leave the U.S. The government is planning to launch a self-deportation program that will provide migrants with a stipend and a plane ticket. Well, he says what we want to do is we're going to have a self-deportation program, which you haven't even announced yet. We're going to give them a stipend, give them some money and a plane ticket, and they're going to work on it. If they're good, if we want them back in, to get them back in as quickly as we can. So this sounds like a cataclysmic bummer. I will say, just to start, this could be a ruse. This could be a lie. They're saying like, oh, we'll give you some money, you self-deport, and if we like you, we'll let you back in, and you just never let them back in. That could be what's going on here, because we've actually...
You're giving him a lot of credit.
I need to. I need to be fair and balanced. But this is something a lot of people in our space have discussed before. Like, I would be willing to pay them to leave. And when people get desperate, you were hearing that like a couple years ago.
Which is stupid. I would never and have never said that. That's been done, by the way. It's been done in a bunch of other countries, and it doesn't fucking work. Even if you can get them to leave, they just come back. You're paying them. What you're supposed to do is send the trucks and drag them out by their legs. And you've had people offer, but he refuses because he's a fucking cuck.
Yeah, but this is, you know, more just giving money to illegal migrants. You know, this is, who's to say where it's going to go? I just wanted to update people on how the discourse is developing. I'm noticing some of the enthusiasm begin to cool. I'm not trying to predict his moves or anything here. But yeah, this is kind of in line with something that he would do. Now, let's get to something fun. You want to have some fun?
Yeah. All right. Let's go.
You want to be mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Bapists. Here we go.
I don't know how representative this individual is of the Bapsphere.
So we're gonna have to assume he is a perfect representation. He is the platonic ideal of a Baptist.
Bronze Age Redux. He's got the photo. He's flexing. He's shirtless. He's on a beach. That checks all the boxes.
International man of leisure, handsome, jacked, wealthy, good at sex, high IQ. Look at that. Nobody said he was humble, I guess.
Yeah. And this is all like a brand, right? This is all a thing you do to fit in, single-handedly ruining being shirtless for everybody.
Yeah.
You see a shirtless guy, you're thinking, okay, this is a guy who's extremely online. You know, completely ruining being outside. If you're a guy who's outside in shorts, it's getting to the point where you're going to assume that, this is a guy who likes slapping emojis over his face. This is a story of a man. It's a romance gone wrong. It's a heartbreak. It's a tragedy. That's got everything. If you're a lady and you're watching, this is better than Netflix as far as I'm concerned. So he says, in the end, Alpha Virilio was right. Never date a lawyer if you want something serious. Who are we talking about? This is this guy. This is the guy who invented the green line thing.
Oh, man.
Well, what do you groan? What's your take on this?
It's just the dumbest. I just hate this, man. I hate this shit so much. It's so fucking gay.
I will say though, I like this. This has.
Wait, you like the green? You like the green line thing? You like it as a serious thing or as a joke?
I think I like it as a serious thing. I don't think leaning into a woman in a photograph.
You know why it's stupid? Take a video clip of any normal fucking couple, and at some moment, somebody will shift their weight, and you can freeze.
This is true.
It. Gotcha. It's the dumbest fucking thing imaginable. And like, okay, well, John Lennon must be gay because he's kissing Yoko. John Lennon is gay because he's John Lennon. You don't need the green line to explain how much of a fucking retard John Lennon is.
You raise a very good point there. Look at that particular photo on the left. Is the green line the most effeminate and gay thing about that photo?
Exactly. Or like they got Harry and his dumb black wife. And it's like, again, we know he's an idiot. You don't need to do the line. The line is not serious. Also, his spine is straight. You can see from his shoulders and his tie. If anything, he's leaning the other way. He tilted his head probably because he's making a point to the interviewer. It's mid-conversation. It's just the... Anyways, you can't take it seriously. Come on.
Melon requests a TLDR on the green line thing.
No.
It's pretty self-explanatory. It's that you look at a photo of a man and a woman, a couple, or a man who's trying to appear masculine, maybe. His posture should be completely erect, straight up and down, and women tend to lean into the man. And the theory is that the person who is leaning into the other person is the submissive one. The one who is complete, 9-degree angle, that's the dominant figure. So if it's a photo of like a woman saying straight and the man sort of leaning into her, he's a cuck, he's a bitch, he's longhouse, whatever it is. Judas denies this.
Yeah, like another one, because I've seen the arguments like, oh, well, I mean, if they're posing, then the moment that they strike a pose reveals a lot about the relationship with each other, except that it reveals more about the position of the camera. If you look at these, almost every case where the man is leaning towards the woman, it's because the man is like back into the left or back into the right, and he's trying to get in frame and has to move his body weight. Like, it's not... Again, I'm not saying that these guys aren't fucking gay. I hate Will Smith. This is dumb. This is a stupid thing.
Look at Harry there. He's got the posture of a man who is leaning in to maybe catch a whiff of his wife, to huff
It's not
her.
even posture. He's literally tilting his head. He's tilting his head, which again, here's one. I'm going to mock the people who picked this up. If you think that tilting your head in conversation means that you're a cuck, you're submissive to your wife, it's because you're autistic and you don't understand human body language. Normal people, normal socialized people emote. We gesticulate. We bob our heads around a little bit. Maybe we wink. Maybe we do a little, we shift the shoulders around. If you don't do that, you look like a fucking stupid robot and you were probably raised by a television set. So I'm sorry, not sorry. If you believe this shit, that's probably you.
Well, I wish you told me this before, because I've been leaning away from my wife in every photo.
I wondered about that. We came over for Nichols' birthday, and every time we sat down to eat something, you're like falling out of your chair to the one side. I didn't know what was going on.
Like a surrealist painting, brother. You don't know which way I'm going. You try and catch a photo of me. protecting my vril just by bending myself and contorting. So that's who this guy, he's a manosphere type.
Yeah.
He gives advice on how, like, if I had to summarize a lot of these manosphere guys, is that men and women can never get along. They might as well be extraterrestrials. Don't even talk to them. Irreconcilable differences. Fuck it, right? So, but however, we're looking at this guy. In the end, this individual is right. Never date a lawyer if you want something serious. Now, I would posit the opposite. Maybe date a lawyer if you only want things serious. They seem to be very serious people. It's like dating an accountant. That's a serious person, as opposed to what dating a carnival barker, dating a fucking guy from a tester at the rubber mallet factory. Like, what?
Yeah.
As far as jobs go, it's pretty serious. The guy who's in charge of flushing trains down toilets. I mean, that guy, that's a laugh a minute compared to that guy. You marry a lawyer if you want to eat contracts for dinner.
Yeah.
I'm going to give myself, what am I going to give myself for that one? I'm going to give myself explosion gong for that one. Thank you.
Nice.
So 1.5 years together, he says. 6 continents, 30 countries. Just off the top, that's a lot of countries for just a year and a half together. That, you know what I mean? Like, what is...
It sounds like you did a lot of traveling and not a lot of like actual things, like normal things.
Not a lot of like building a life with someone.
Yeah.
That is design, like testing.
Which is we could build a case for that being the problem with the relationship without even getting into the why you would never fucking date a lawyer in your, I'm assuming, late 30s, because this is not written like a, yeah. You're not in marriage territory. You're 15 years too late already, for sure. But you're right.
I would also say, like, marrying a female lawyer, I would advise against it for most guys.
Oh, dude, it's a horrible idea.
Also, like, here's the thing. I know this is popular with, you know, the home math crowd and a lot of the manosphere types, but just based on what I've seen, you know, the theory is that men will date across and down the hierarchy, the class structure of genders, and women will only date up. But from what I see, you know, high status men, the nobility, the aristocracy, they don't tend to actually seriously date or marry Denny's servers. You know what I mean? Like, when you think about like the guys who go to Harvard, the guys who go to run these tech companies, they tend to date laterally. So you actually see more men who are lawyers date and marry other lawyers, or like a nonprofit type.
I think the truth to the statement would be that high-end men have a wider range, whereas like high-end women they're all single. They're essentially all single because they're incapable. They can't even get somebody at their level. They have to go above, which doesn't exist. So with you know, professional men, they'll date within their range, maybe a step down. But no, you're right. Like, you're not going to have Mr. Harvard dating a fucking.
Like the lowest they'll go is a spunky journalist, right? Like, oh, here's a Daily Beast reporter. This is someone that's the Elon Musk thing. Like, what was that? Yeah. That last one he was with, fucking Ashley Buttocks. I just made up a name that is probably hers.
It's probably real. It's probably true.
She's an influencer, right? But he's not going to actually date like a fucking used car saleswoman or something, right? Because you still need to take this person around to the parties and say, hey, here's a bitch who doesn't know anything, doesn't know how to act, doesn't know how to fucking wash under her fingernails.
Elon's a bad example because he could literally do that. Like, I could imagine him actually picking up some random bitch and then walking her around at the White House.
Elon Musk is as close as we're going to get to that classic nobility, or like a Roman in the show Succession, where, he would date a woman on a lark to My Fair Lady her, but have no plans to fix her. And then
makes his dog the chairman of the board or something.
Yeah. makes his dog the chairman of the board, then marries his girlfriend to his dog. Just like, bored for a life that shouldn't be boring. Like, you got things to do. Malaka says, high value men like Jewish hoes. Based on the data, it seems to be that way. Just something about... Here's the thing about succubi, is that they have this power to suck you and buy. Right?
The problem is when they stick around.
Vital says, put the girl through finishing school. That's one option, yeah. Do they have wife school still?
Wife school?
They should have, like, I'm joking, but if you told me they had wife school 200 years ago, I'd believe it.
I mean, we had home ec up until very recently, and then you also had like the concept of women learning shit from their moms who actually knew shit. So that's gone.
Home ec was also teaching women who didn't even have parents how to be a mother.
That
It's
was
like,
step
oh,
2, right? That was after we lost the moms. The moms are out of the chat, and then state has got to teach girls to be women, and then state gave up. So now there's no women left. It's all just like weird bitches.
they didn't know. A lot of the young people, now the Zoomers, they don't remember what we went through, which is you used to have a class in high school that taught pregnant women how to put Oreos on a plate to feed their family.
It's sad that we look back on that in this with nostalgia. Like, damn, they used to at least try.
Sean Schaefer with the good question: why do women?
Buddy, I imagine, yeah. Why?
Baruch says, "Thanks for reminding me to write in Caligula on my ballot." We got to get to this story. We're
Okay.
burning time.
Okay.
This guy, 30 countries in a year and a half, which is a lot of countries. Van life. Oh no. This is a night of rejection. I reject this thing called van life. I can imagine being in a van living by myself. I cannot imagine being in a van with like a spouse.
Yeah. When you have so much money that you can travel 6 continents, 30 countries in 1.5 years, and you're living in a van. Like, this is, again, without even talking about her being a lawyer, this is probably why your relationship doesn't work.
It sounds like she wasn't a very good lawyer.
Yeah, how can you
'Cause-
be a lawyer and spend all that, like, I don't know. I mean, you know what? I'm not even going to ask.
Because I used to work in a law firm many years ago. I worked in marketing at the law firm, but I got to know these lawyers very well. Very high-powered, type A personality, men and women, right? But you needed to be in the office. You need to show your face. You need to be walking around and going to meetings and shit. So, I mean, was this just like a dumb bitch lawyer?
You could be immigration lawyers, and all they do is, like, sign the pre-filled form remotely.
Here's the thing. That's most lawyers. Honestly, like a lot of lawyers, it's just you need someone with a lot of degrees on the wall to sign a form to spook someone into doing something. Very rarely does it turn into a big thing. You're just like you're hiring a gangster, and people know that when they get a lawyer. It's like I just need someone to scare the person that I want something from. So I want to get the big scary lawyer, and maybe that gets this done fast.
Damn, son, where'd you find
Cacao ceremonies. Am I reading that correctly? That sounds like a chocolate ceremony.
It does, yeah.
They just this is something that when you hear about how the other half lives.
You
This
mean
is
the
how
other fraction of a percent.
yeah, the other fraction of a half. I don't want this. I don't want to go when I hear about what these like rich Zoomers are doing. They're taking their private jets to go to a fucking severed foot festival. I don't want that. I don't want to hearing about these parties where someone's turned inside out.
Yeah.
Music festivals, Mile High Club. So what? So what? She jerked you off in an airplane bathroom. I can jerk myself off in an airplane bathroom. Surfing, scuba diving, motorcycles, rented villas and penthouses, meeting families, drugs, deep conversations, sex in places we could have been arrested all over the world. Like, okay,
Yeah.
no, you couldn't. This is such a teenager way of thinking about it. Like we were making out in a place, and if they found us, they would have arrested us. No, they wouldn't have. They would have said, "You're too old for this. Please leave."
The thing is, maybe this is where we're going with it, but every one of these things, except van life. Van life is a weird thing, but the rest of those things, you could make it fun with somebody you hated. You know, you could make that fun with almost anyone. If you're actually trying to build a relationship with somebody, you want to build that relationship the exact opposite way. You want to build it in a fucking in traffic, in a very long lineup at a laundromat. You want to build it when fighting with your in-laws. You want to. Those are the times when you figure out whether it works. So you could have just skipped all of this shit and spent 2 weeks stuck in an airport with her, and then you'd know that you don't like her and she doesn't like you, and you wouldn't have to do any of this and wasted all that time. So but the fact that he doesn't know this is it's perfect for the type of guy that like the Manosphere, because they're
also, it's
emotionally
funny
retarded.
because if you look at everything he's listing here, there doesn't seem to be a connection in his mind that maybe this is the reason that it
Exactly.
didn't work.
He thinks this is the reason it should have worked, and this is what I'm saying. He's an emotional child. This fucker knows nothing about women or relationships. It's hilarious. It's a self-own is what it is.
So, but the only thing we did more than try all life has to offer was argue. First of all, that's not all life has to offer. That's doing things you saw on Instagram.
It's so materialist and shallow. It's like a parody, and it might be a parody, but
Hey, you what you didn't? That's not on your list that I did recently. Was feeding smoked ribs that I made myself to my toddler,
yeah.
and he loves it. You didn't
Did
do
you
that.
ever? Yeah, buddy. Hey, buddy. Did you ever have your best friend over to shoot the turkey vulture on the shed? You didn't do that, did you? No.
Oh, you made out on a private plane. I can make out with myself on a private plane. I don't need money. I don't need women for any of this.
When you want a high
Here's the thing.
score, get married,
the-
and then after 20 years of marriage, then make out with your wife on a private plane.
All of this I can do myself. I don't need a woman for this. Music festival, fucking nightmare chocolate ceremony, meeting someone's family. I can meet a family. Drugs, deep conversations. I have voices. I don't give a fuck. Sex in places. I can jack off outside of a fucking someone's house.
The Lego store.
The leg and jack up. I'm trying to give an example where it doesn't sound really offensive. I'm going to say jack off in front of what? Come on. You're better than this times. A fucking Mercedes-Benz dealership. That's not funny. That's not good. Make it good. Apparently they're fighting all the time. I'm resting too long at the gym. Argument. I forgot a bottle of water. Argument. Like, it sounds funny. Like, here's the thing. If you've dated a crazy man or woman, like I'm sure like women have dated a man who turns out to be abusive in some way, but men have a version of that, which is getting with the borderline personality disorder woman, those are just two ends of the same spectrum. So maybe that happened. That does sound funny. It does sound funny that she was, I guess, at the gym with you and resting too long and just like spotting you and calling you a faggot. So far in this story, I think I'm on her side. Because look, if you're trying to get with a type A personality type bitch, she's going to call you a gay nerd for drinking water wrong.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's what you signed up for, buddy. You want to get with an astronaut, you're gonna watch him go to space once in a while. I say I want the Ukraine war to end soon. That becomes, so you want Russia to invade Estonia? Not joking. Here's the thing. If my wife said, I want the Ukraine war to end soon, I'd get mad at her too. I'd say, she don't know. You don't know anything. What are you talking about? No one wants anything to happen ever.
Yeah.
What do you mean you want to end soon? I would like China just to stop.
You heard her say that and you're like, what have I done? What was it? Just tell me. What did I do?
Yeah, what is this? That's a trick for people who are thinking of getting married one day. If you find things get intense, if you're fighting, you say, "What is this? What do we do? What is this? Can you explain what this is?" And then they can't, and then it's over. And then you go get an ice cream cone. And so, oh, aren't you supposed to have makeup sex? No, you can, but it's also good as ice cream.
Yeah,
you can do sex whenever.
Mm-hmm.
It should only happen at night. That's why God made the moon.
We're being outed as wife guys here.
Politically, she was moderate, supported the CDU in Germany, but everything political became personal to her. Even take on tariffs could spiral into a multi-day ordeal on how I didn't care about Europe, didn't care about her suffering, or how my support of the cruel, heartless, mean Trump is a moral stain on me. So it doesn't sound like she's politically moderate. It doesn't sound... It sounds like you don't know what words mean. Because if you were good at this, if you were a real Bronze Age type guy, this is a funny thing. Like, Bronze Age, vitalist man, and you cannot persuade your girlfriend to even move an inch towards your point of view.
Do you think a real Bronze Age, goon would actually make, like, what is this, 30 paragraphs on Twitter bitching about how his girlfriend left him? Like, this is one of the gayest, limpest things you could do. Imagine how long it took him to type how long he spent editing this to get it just perfect for the world to read. What a faggot.
I was afraid that he would have deleted this by the time that we got to it. and he has mercifully kept it up. Sorry, I'm just calling attention credible threat, saying politically mid. I like that. And also Vitalist is saying spanking is definitely back in fashion. We got to get the LGBT stuff out of society first. They've ruined spanking. They made it into something very Reddity, right? See, if you start spanking your wife, say, "Oh, did you learn that? What subreddit did you learn that on?" So I'm going to skip ahead here. Once it started, that was it. She wouldn't let it go. Couldn't de-escalate. Didn't want to. So, okay, let me see what he's doing right here. This is just like a straight up relationship analysis. You, sir, are spending too long trying to litigate arguments that you apparently lost with your wife. What you should have said, go all the way up here and say, all we had to offer was argue. Actually skip all this, because it sounds like you're trying to make a case for yourself, which is very gay behavior, like we had said. It's like, whatever I did, I was the victim, and she was just a bully to me. Well, here's the thing. If you're constantly bullied by your wife, it sounds like you're a faggot.
Yeah.
I don't, and here's the thing. Here's what you should have learned. If you're a Bronze Age type guy, just complaining gives women the ick and gives men the murderous fury.
Yeah.
You get no, is this supposed to elicit sympathy? You should be old enough to know that sympathy doesn't fucking exist. Sympathy is for golden retrievers who are trying to get a soup bone out of a crevice. Yep. And that's it, actually. There's nothing else to sympathize with.
That's the only case. That's in the Bible, by the way. That's the thing.
Yeah. I'll take your word for it. We Catholics, we don't do that. But
yes, good.
I had to make her case like we're in court. Well, again, like, just imagine you say this to a man, like you read Manosphere guys, and you're saying you can't out rationality a woman. It sounds like you failed at everything.
Yeah.
Again, she is the hero of the story. Then 1 to 2 days later, softness, apologies, emotional reconnection. We get 3 days of peace, and something else will trigger it all over again. No matter how spiritual, intellectual, or evolved our toolbox got, nothing changed the cycle. Again, as a man, you shouldn't be talking about relationship toolboxes. You shouldn't ever use the phrase love language. That's girl stuff. That's fine.
Yep.
It's good. It's good for them. It helps them understand. You know, they'll say, here's, I love the term love language because it helps women figure out why their men don't remember Valentine's Day.
Yes.
You know, it's like, oh, his love language is service. That's what my wife says to me. Your love language is service, which is you want me to ask you to do something and then you do it. And I say, yeah. Can you just do that? Like you want me to go, what do you want? I'll do. Oh yeah, I'll do it. Just I don't want to have to like.
Can you just, I'm not guessing. You're just going to tell me and then I'm going to do it and then we're done.
And if you don't tell me, I'm not going to do it. Like, honestly, I got a lot on my mind. Okay. I got a lot going business wise.
Also him saying evolved as in like, you know, it iteratively changed as they learned, even though he clearly has learned nothing from any of this.
Oh, just sex freaking. Oh, choking. Where'd you learn that? Her trauma dumping about her dad. Oh, Berwick, you're good. My favorite part of Conan is when he argues with his war bride about the intricacy of trade relations. See, I don't want to say it's just this guy. I bet this is a common thing. Like these guys who spend way too long in the online space, who've got all these rules and universals about how to engage with a woman in a masculine way, and none of them use them. And then so they just end up complaining about women because their toolkit didn't fucking work, or they never used it, or they fell for every trap door, every trick in the book that like the dumbest skank pulls on them. You know what I mean? Like no one practices what they preach. Anyway, this was the most special woman I've ever met up until now. Oh my God, he is down bad. But special doesn't mean lifelong partner. You know, probably this first smart thing he said. Special doesn't mean lifelong partner.
None of these fags are capable of using the word wife. That's a huge flag. I don't know, you call it a flag, call it whatever, but like you can't say wife, lifelong partner. Like, how are you? What are you, dude?
That's true. Yeah, good point. Good catch. Now, this isn't wife material. You're saying, like, why are you talking about lifelong partner? Why are you talking about hetero life mate? You know, like just these terms.
I bet he thinks that the phrase wife is icky.
Yeah. I don't want to say wife because that would make me a husband. I just want to I want someone I can go on adventures with. I want to.
Oh my God.
Where's the chocolate concert? You would take a wife to the fucking chocolate concert. I'm grateful for all the experience, but I wouldn't do it again. Again, that's a woman thing to say here. It's like, I'm thankful for the journey. I'm thankful for my exes. It helped me grow. I don't want to grow. My entire life, I've never wanted to grow.
You should be mad and bitter, and you should carry this bitter. And this is actually advice to this fucking guy. He's not listening, but you should be mad about this. You should be bitter about it until you die. You should let the bitterness alter your personality to the point where you carry it into every conversation with you for the rest of your life. And maybe then somebody worthy might actually want to marry you because you act like a man. That'd be cool. You should try that instead of just, there we go. There we go.
No, that's a good point. That's actually what I did when I met my wife. No, I'm not joking. Like, I'd gotten out of a very bad relationship, many, many months prior, and I was just not looking for that again. I said, you know what? Fuck it. I'm not gonna be in a relationship. I don't want that. I'm just gonna party and meet girls. I'm not gonna get too graphic about it, but I was on a real bender for a while. I was not committed in any way to finding love or finding a wife or the woman who will become a wife. And then it just kind of happens. And I think that's how it should happen. Like, you should have that bitterness and say, like, I'm going to take something from this. I'm going to learn from this. And then that's the filter. And then whoever can cross that filter, that's a keeper a lot of the time.
There you go.
But, we're actually phasing into giving proper advice. Of course, what do I know about what Zoomers are up to these days?
Nothing.
I don't know the dating market, right? Listen to Revelino. Seriously, don't test it yourself unless you actually get off on conflict. Don't date a lawyer. Don't date a lawyer unless you are a lawyer. Here's what advice I always hear from people is like, never date someone who works in the same field as you. And why not? I don't understand that.
Yeah.
I think maybe it helps for variety, but I'm like, if it seems to me that lawyers tend to date lawyers, people in design date people in design.
There's
you know
so
what I mean?
many. Yeah, like my wife and I are from the same background. Like that's stupid. All that is another cope. People trying to read the tea leaves on why their relationship broke apart instead of just admitting that they fucking suck at it. Well, I followed all the rules. I listened to so and so on the internet and it didn't work out. It must be because our horoscopes were wrong. Like, no, it's because you suck. Just learn from it, dude. We want the best for you. Learn from it, honestly.
Okay, no, you're getting ahead of us. Get your astrological compatibility checked early.
Oh, no, yeah, he went there too. Oh, no.
I joked 5 minutes after we met, oh, you're a Gemini? We can never work. And again, maybe I'm just a coal-head old troon. But I come from an era where guys didn't know anything about astrology.
Yeah.
It would seem suspicious if you did.
Yeah.
If that was a girl's thing. And it's fine if girls are into astrology. And here's how you find out if you're astrologically compatible. The girl you're with will tell you because they can't. When's your birthday? Oh, you're a Sagittarius. I'm a Gemini. That means we're going to go get together. Like, they'll just tell you and like, okay, good. Thanks. Great news. Yippee. But I don't really need to check that on my own because I will be with a woman. Like, yeah. what a dumb thing. I don't know, but that's big now.
And maybe if she makes a big deal of it, she's probably not for you. Maybe you should leave her because that's fucking insane.
Oh, Charles Haywood married a she lawyer. Yeah, exactly. Like,
yeah, but exactly. He's the right type of guy too because he's in the same class.
Oh, we got some comments here. Someone's going to start a Black Blood satellite spinoff called Big Snood Catamite. And then Sean Schaefer was saying hiring 2 black guys to read BS transcripts. I think we're just a hop, skip, and a jump away from getting something that's a lot cheaper, which is getting Indians to read Blood Satellite transcripts. Like, getting 2 black guys to read this week kind of difficult. I can get 2 Indians to do this tomorrow. Okay, so I'm going to skip a lot of this fucking astrology shit. Lastly, people don't change, not really, especially not their fundamental characters and ingrained ways of thinking. Day one is who they are. What do you think about that? Do you agree with that?
No, I don't. 2 things about it. First of all, day one is stupid because day one, everybody is not who they are. Everybody is trying to do something, and it's usually weird.
That's a great point. Yeah.
Give people a pass on day one. who people are. People don't change overnight, but everybody changes. And this is something I'm always hammering at our guys about. Your spouse, not girlfriend, spouse, becomes the person that you want them to be. And you become the person that they want you to be through being so tight and close with them and fighting with them and forcing your way through bad situations. If you are committed to the relationship, you become a unit. And I think biblically, my interpretation, because I'm a Protestant, is that when we talk about marriage as a unit, that's what it is. You actually do become almost like one person. Like the joke that you finish each other's sentences is that. But that doesn't, you don't meet a soulmate and they're like that. That's after like years and years and years of, fucking it up. So no, absolutely not. Do not judge somebody. Like you look at somebody on day one and you're like, I can't imagine being with this person in 20 years. Well, they won't be that person in 20 years. They'll be like a semi-clone of you after 20 years. But you have to put in the work. So,
okay. So we've seen how it's going. Should we see how it started?
Yeah.
This was how it started. This was from 2023. Sorry, haven't been posting much over the last 100 hours. Now traveling with the most special woman I've ever met. Again, very feminine way of saying that, but also saying you haven't posted a lot in the last 100 hours. That means that's only like a week, less than a week, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, guys, I haven't been posting all week. Yeah, you shouldn't. Don't announce that. If you're posting every day, you're either a content creator or there's something terribly wrong.
Also, sorry, guys, like you have a following. Like, are you just like a permanent Twitter guy? How sad is that? Also, by the way, your girl's a fucking whore. Only a whore lets you post random pictures of her ass on Twitter.
A very factory settings ass, if we're being honest.
We don't even have to critique the ass. I'm just saying, like, she's not a worthy woman if she's like posing in her underwear for you randomly and you're putting it on social media. Like, come, give me a fucking break. But
we don't need to be mean because, of course, she is the main character. People will say, "Oh, she's got main."
I forgot.
She's got the main character syndrome. In this instance, I think she was the main character of his story.
Yes, she was.
She
knew it. I'll bet you she knew it. She probably, maybe him turning that off is the reason that she left him too.
There's a very real concern that he stops existing when she goes to sleep.
Holy shit.
I'm not trying to critique her body or anything. I'm just saying I look at that butt and I go, nah. Nah. All right, so important point here, relevant specifically for Trump supporting American men to date, looking to date European women. Okay, here we go. Don't care. Shut up. Shut up, fucking idiot.
Nothing of value.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, how Bronze Age was this guy's life? Because
like not even on the scale. It's just, but that's most of them.
This is the thing I always try and tell people, and I'm really trying not to drag scene drama into the main show or anything. But if you actually look at the works created by this space, I'm talking even Man's World magazine. Once you get rid of the aesthetics, which is usually very, reductive and stupid, it's all just like cosmopolitan hedonism. It's like, oh, it's a ripped guy. Okay, but what's the ripped guy doing? He's on a jet drinking a martini, and then he's getting off the jet and going to a cafe and drinking cappuccino by himself. Yeah. And then what's he doing? He's going to a bar and drinking an old fashioned by himself. And he has a wardrobe change between every venue.
And let's not forget tons of photos of guys flexing nude in Speedos, with oiled bodies. Like, it's explicitly gay. Man's World magazine and the whole Babsphere is explicitly gay. It's like this new wave of gay browns trying to capture masculinity back away from us because we were winning for a minute.
I like the idea of going back to the Bronze Age and finding the warrior cast, finding the Yao men of the era, whatever era it is, and say, hey, do you guys have posters of oiled up other men on your walls? You carry them with you everywhere? Because that's essentially what we're doing. Just carrying these guys are carrying photos of like half naked men with them and saying, this is me and this is what I like. What they're doing is probably just stabbing and raping. Yeah. Instead of a fandom for raping and stabbing, which is an odd thing to do. They would rape and stab you if you presented that to them. So then why do it? Just because just attaching the word Bronze Age to something doesn't make you're just a guy on a beach flexing. But that actually seems kind of like dumb faggot shit. Because like the life you live, which is a dumb faggot life, so you need to add a brand to it. And I'm going to make money selling takes. So I'm going to take something that I see and say the most retarded thing about it. And sorry guys, I logged off for 24 hours. Hey guys, sorry, I'm not dead. I was just not posting for 24 hours. Here's a new photo of
Really,
me
like-
drinking a cappuccino with a sunglasses emoji face.
I don't know how else to describe, but like if you close your eyes and just imagine the physiognomy of the sort of person who sits alone in front of a computer or a phone most of their days as an adult, and the thing that dominates their mind is, I haven't posted in a few hours. I really need to log into social media and let my fans know what I'm thinking. Like, is this, when you're imagining the physiognomy of that person, is that like a Bronze Age Viking rapist, or is it like a small brown kid? Because it's mostly, like, in reality, it's small gay brown kids like Bap himself. Like, it is what it is.
It's going to like a Vitalist meetup must be going like to the 4chan meetups they would see back in the day.
Oh, dude, absolutely.
Where it's like, it's all just like skinny brown guys and one huge woman and then trannies. You know what I mean? We've seen this before. Speaking of which, I'm trying to find, do we have, yes, we do. Let's get to this before I forget, because we've been going off. We spent way too long on that, more than I was expecting. I'm looking at this, the Hal Turner radio show. Let me see if I can get this done in such a way that makes sense here. Okay. I'm just going to explain it to people. Someone was mentioning this, I might have been Mellon, saying, did you hear about the 4chan hack? You heard about this, right?
Yes.
Dude? Yeah.
Yes.
So 4chan, as far as I know, is still down, maybe permanently. Couldn't have come at a better time because people have been saying it's been dead for I don't know how many years. I used to go on it back in the day, back in high school, as many of us did. I was a avid reader of the TV board up until the day it went down. And as I shuffle off this mortal coil, I will have one regret, and it's not spending more time on TV. It's just the dumbest shit, and I love it. I don't care. It was so stupid. But here was the big story. Let me see if I can scroll down. Is this it? Here we go. So this is vindication time. So they leaked information on the top countries that were posting on 4chan. And who do we have at the top? Israel.
Wow.
Now it's been rumored, it's been common knowledge for many, many years that Israel is trying to capture 4chan, specifically the politically incorrect board, Paul, probably a couple other boards as well. And there was a couple of things that started circulating as memes. They almost sounded like jokes, but they, as far as I know, they were true the entire time, which is that they would say, do you notice that certain types of posts stop occurring on Jewish holidays?
Mm-hmm.
So one example was like interracial porn. You'd have all these interracial porn posts, like blacked stuff, right? And then they're like, well, it's not posted on Hanukkah. Or on Jewish holidays that don't fall on Christian holidays either. It's like, what the fuck's that about? Also, when the conflict in Gaza kicked off, all those posts dropped off too. So anyone with two eyes can say, okay, something's happening here, obviously. I didn't think it would be at the top. Like, this is fucking wild.
Yeah.
Like, above the United States.
50% more users than the United States. I bet if you add all those together, it looks like it's a good third of all posts ever made on the entire site were from Israel.
I got Ted LaFaro checking me, as he often does. Hal Turner was exposed by 4chan as a Fed. Very well may be true. I don't know. This is the only site I could find with this screenshot.
As an American Fed, though, or as an Israeli Fed? Because if he's exposed as a member of like the FBI, then of course the Israelis would want that. I'm just saying. I'm not like whatever, but it doesn't mean shit.
There's a question in here. I see someone responding to it. Richard, a lot of the new posts are from people with actual Israeli flags. Now, there's an argument to be made here that hold on, let me just, how do I hide the message? Yeah, there's an argument to be made that a lot of people could select their own flags. So you can select meme flags like a pirate flag or a Kekistan flag or whatever. So people would say, "Oh, is this not just people memeing as Israelis?" And I guess you would need to be on the board to know that people weren't generally using a lot of Israeli flags, like even if they were being sarcastic or joking. And also, I'm pretty sure that it actually, for most people, they can't change it. It automatically just posts where you're from. And 4chan's pretty hard on using VPNs too. It's not that changed over time, but my suspicion is that these are actually the actual countries that
really?
they're from.
I remember in 2018, I was not even able to use it in China until I got a VPN, and even with the VPN, it was giving me a hard time. So, yeah, it's not trivial to change that flag. My point is, look, it's not that you can't do it, but the average user is not going to be somebody who goes to the lengths of changing it. They're just going to fucking post.
Yeah, here's Bill Wilson saying meme flags can be selected, not national, last I recall. That's my understanding of it too.
Yeah.
That it defaults to your country unless you select a fucking meme flag. And because the meme flags aren't on here, that leads me to believe that this is actually just the countries, which would also stack up with what people have been saying for a long time, because not a lot of people go on 4chan much anymore. It's not as it was during its golden age of cultural relevancy. When people speak of 4chan, they speak of it in the past tense. But I will say the other shocking thing I'm noticing here was a very low ranking of South America. Like one of the memes also circulating was that it's full of South Americans on 4chan. I'm seeing Brazil pretty far down here, and then where you got Argentina, Portugal are down at the bottom. Hitler's Argentina is nowhere near the top.
No way.
You know what I mean? So I saw that. I'm like, maybe, like, what's going on here? But I'm willing to believe that because this was leaked in the hack, it's got to be true. But so what is the implications here? The implication, of course, is that everything we fucking said was right. Not only was your pet conspiracy theory proven, everyone called you crazy. Everyone said, well, yeah, of course you would say that. Of course you would say Israeli would be doing this. Not only were they doing it, they were doing it at such a scale that it beggars belief. And maybe that's why Israeli, popularity or Israeli control was so popular, was because no one real was using it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's just fucking kids now, right? Also, Seawook Def says there's Spanish language image boards. True. I just thought like everyone knew that there's a lot of Mexicans on 4chan. All right. Berwick says this explains the current war. I'd also want to level an entire people if I had to solve their captchas all day. Good point. Oh, also, Michi Pichi, is the Israeli flag a national flag or a meme flag? Very solid question there.
Yes.
And if you look at Israeli history, Israel itself is a meme that went too far.
It is. It's irony poisoning is what it is.
Yeah. Of course, this image for 4chan here. Sometimes intelligence agencies get caught doing things in public designed to fool the public. Last night, it was revealed that the website 4chan got hacked. Apparently, the very last posting from the entire world asking what was going on was this one, which is a Minecraft movie reference. Lovely.
Nice.
We are not going to be talking about Minecraft movie. Then came in the announcement from the hackers had done their thing. LMAO, you got hacked. Yes. We're not going to get into the details on the hacking. There's been a lot of people saying how the hack occurred. Makes sense. Archaic technology, just it's held together with duct tape and gum. Almost all posts on 4chan were Israeli intelligence contractors pretending to be USA. Messiah has been running an absolute massive propaganda campaign on the American internet. So what would that look like? Well, it wouldn't be obvious. It wouldn't be Israeli propaganda, of course, because if you know anything about that site, there was no Israeli propaganda, but it would be disruptive propaganda designed to create divisions between different groups on there, or try to suppress certain posts or whatever it might be. Or like they said, to highlight intraracial unity and then highlight interracial conflict, which makes you wonder that what makes you wonder about rather how much of the the black pilling is responsible. Are they responsible for Israel? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
all of the it's over, give up, don't even try. How much of that is actually just fucking Israel?
Yes.
I'd hazard a guess and say quite a bit of it. And then that's the thing that worked, because I think that should make all discourse suspect, in my opinion. And then again, we're not going to get into the BAP stuff. We're not going to get into patronage networks, but like everything this reminds me that every single thing has Israel's fucking fingerprints on it.
Yep.
Anytime a content creator is captured by an Israeli adjacent, force, some NGO, some individual, like it's just the same thing happening again and again.
Yeah.
And sometimes it is that simple. You know what I mean? Because I would hear, I'm not trying to crawl down his fucking throat, but I know Martyr Made, Daryl Cooper was getting in trouble recently. He had just not long ago done a very popular video about the experiences in the life of the German people leading up to World War II. Let me see if I can pull that up. Martyr Made, have you heard of Martyr Made before?
I've heard of him. I don't follow him.
Yeah, good guy, but he seemed to be very friendly to a lot of our views. And then he was coming out recently saying the right has a problem with anti-Semitism, was what I was hearing. And he wrote a Substack on it. I'm just trying to look it up right now. Sorry, forgive me if it's... Oh no, now I'm getting martyr stuff. I'm just getting general martyr things. I found myself into the martyr sphere. You're saying we have to deal with this like rampant anti-Semitism. Some people are saying that's all kayfabe. That's just him playing the part because he has to reel in. But you know what? I don't accept that. I don't accept that and his argument was we need a more enlightened form, not in these exact words, we would say we need a more enlightened, aristocratic form of anti-Semitism, which is the exact same thing you hear from the BAP guys, the Bronze Age pervert sphere. Like, yes, we're anti-Semitic, but we don't want this low class, low brow, global South affiliated anti-Semitism. We need a new one. And then, well, when will that arrive? We're working on it. Don't worry about it. Just shut up for now.
Yeah.
Just don't bring it up. That's what they'll say to you. And that makes me suspicious when I hear that. Because that if you look at it, they're saying, oh no, it's on the menu. Anti-Semitism, anti-Zionism, it's still be in the discourse. We're going to work on it, but then it's going to come back. I'm like, no, the only thing it is designed to get you to do is to stop talking about it.
Yes.
And it is arriving and reaching its peak during Israel's conflict with Gaza, when it is the least popular on the world stage than it's ever been.
Yep.
Does anyone think this is suspicious at all?
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to even say that Daryl Cooper has fallen into that pocket, because I quite like Martyr Made, but it seemed like a sudden development in a pretty long and interesting career of making people rethink the post-war consensus and rethink what they believe about World War II and who the real bad guy was. And, a lot of that pipeline stuff, building a case to bring the average person along.
And even then, you're giving them a lot of credit. You're kind of taking it at face value when they say, oh, we need to have a more aristocratic form of anti-Semitism. Like, okay, if you're talking to a bunch, like, the neo-Nazis or whoever, fine, I kind of get it. Like, don't fly Nazi flags. It's kind of bad optics or whatever. But you're talking to the majority of us. We're not out there saying, gas the kikes, race war now in the street. We're talking about the USS Liberty, and we're talking about aid to Israel, and we're talking about control of institutions. Like, I don't know how much more intellectual you can get about it than that. Like, none of us, we're not even calling for the death of Jews. We're just saying, like, aren't you dissatisfied with the fact that an out group has total control of our society? And that's the thing that they're telling us to shut up about. Let's be clear. They're not saying, oh, you can be anti-Semitic, just don't say gas the kikes. No. We're talking, like, when you and I are mad about Jews, we're mad about how Jews take everything over and they ruin everything for us. And we have the receipts for it. right? And they're like, oh no, don't talk about that. Like, well, okay, now hold on a second, everybody.
If people want to know what it is that we say, and we've actually, one of my favorite things to do when leading people down what you might describe as an anti-Semitic path is using Jewish authors. And one of my favorite ones was one I did with the Prudentialist.
Yes.
We just reviewed a book called What Went Wrong, the story of the downfall of Black and Jewish relations in America.
Written by a rabbi.
Written by a rabbi. And like, if you go find that on Odyssey, I think we even have it on our Telegram page. We'll circulate it again. We did a 2-parter, and it was just this Jewish guy in like the 80s, I believe, trying to say what happened. Why don't Black people like us? And he wrote like a 500-page book on it, and the entire message of the book, I shit you not, was like, we did everything for them. We ran their civil rights organizations. We tried to guide them. They couldn't do it for themselves, and so we did it for them. And then they don't thank us. We owned their buildings. We rented out to them. You know, like, I'm not joking. That was what it was. We created a golem, and it turned on us. Well, I don't know. But if there is a way to do this with only using Jewish authors, and that's what I like to do.
Yeah.
But if you want to know where we stand on it, I've explained this even to my family members, family and friends. That's why I'm not worried about any of this getting out, because my principles on this are fairly simple. You might even call them first principles. The one is that Jews are a distinct ethno-religious group. They have a profoundly rich understanding of themselves and of themselves as apart from Europeans. So they know who they are, and the second is that they advocate for their interests. Those are the two things you need to believe. That's it. If you believe those two things are in operation all the time, then politics begins to make sense. Where people get confused is when they start saying that they're white, or that their interests are yours. No, they're not. They're Jews. They don't believe them when they say, well, what is Jewish? No, they know. Like, shut up. You fucking know.
You can almost imagine a world where Jews are not a problem because we just never allowed them into our society at all. We just made sure they stayed on the other side of the wall. What are they going to do to you? Nothing, because they're not really they're not that smart. They're not that numerous. They wouldn't be able to do shit if we would stop giving them the fucking keys to the castle here.
Yeah. What gets you into trouble is when you start believing in this lie of Judeo-Christian values.
Yes.
But here's the trick. If you believe that Jews are a distinct group with a sense of self and that they will always behave their own self-interest like anyone else would, like the Chinese, the Japanese, African Americans, whatever, as they would, then here's the trick. You actually can work with them as long as you understand that they're not on your side. Yep. They're always going to operate in their self-interest. And here's the other thing that I need to convince people of down the road is that they see Europeans as their existential enemy, more so than Muslims, more so than anyone else. Because they'll say, "Oh no, Muslims they're attacking the Palestinians." Like, no, they see Palestinians and Arabs and Muslims as a geopolitical inconvenience. They see them as animals. They see Europeans as like a truly deep existential foe. They hate Christians. They see them as a different sort of enemy, and they always will. And this is explained as much by a lot of the Jewish authors that we had read, like J.J. Goldberg in Jewish Power. He had said that, it was this great part of the book. I always remind people of this, where he'd said, yes, we run over 300 organizations in America. Yes, we have captured your government to direct it towards Zionist interests. Yes, this is all true, but we did it because you Europeans tried to exterminate us. And if we don't do this, then you will kill us, and we know you'll kill us. So we're only doing this because it's in our self-interest because you forced us. That's what they believe. Yes. So everything they do is they believe that Europeans want to kill them or exterminate them. And so that is why when you say, well, why do they care about white families? Well, because they actually believe that if white people multiply, it's a threat to them. That's what they believe. And if you just believe these three things at once, then geopolitics makes more sense. You don't need to build it up into a more metaphysical thing. These are just your first principles. So it means like you can like Seinfeld or eat a bagel, whatever it is, but just understand those three things that they'll never be in your thing.
Yeah. And
if they say they are, they're lying. And don't be so desperate for allies that you're like, oh yeah, Judeo-Christian values, that makes sense to me. I don't want to be a Nazi. You know, like just stop. You know, but that's all you need to. And my point is that if just saying that is too lowbrow, if that is too obvious, if that's not massaged enough for mainstream acceptance, then I don't want to be a part of it. Because they would say, well, that's too direct. You know, that's too, you know, old school. You can't just say that. We need something more evolved. We need something more attuned to the times. Like, no, fuck you. I should be able to say those things.
Yep.
Those are true things. They're reasonable things. On most days, Jews wouldn't disagree with them. They only disagree with them when they come out of my fucking mouth.
Exactly. They literally say it themselves.
Yeah. And so to me, it's like, oh, don't say that. That'll get in trouble. No, well, then get me in trouble. I don't get it's fucking true. And that's actually a pretty reasonable way of stating it. And if that's not good enough for this new crop of motherfuckers who's trying to invent a anti-Zionism 3.0, no, fuck off. Now you're just arguing against like simple first principles that are obvious to fucking everybody. And you can actually express them in a way that's inoffensive to people like I just did. You can explain that to anybody and they'll say, yeah, probably. You know, you don't need to go into all kinds of other historical, you don't need to go into gas chambers, you don't need to go into all that stuff. Just these simple fucking rules.
The blood libel and all of this stuff, which look, we're not saying it's true or untrue, but like you said, you don't have to go with the really offensive stuff. There's more, because the thing is, we're right. All of this is true. You don't have to get crazy with it. You don't have to shock people. So I can't believe this is the anti-Semitism. It's just like the ninth anti-Semitism episode.
We're going to figure it out. We're going to figure, hey, this time we're going to, like, are you guys actually trying to make it so Jews are cool with your anti-Zionism? Is that what we're doing? It's not going to happen.
Yes.
Do you not realize that you're the one being psyoped right now? And I'm not trying to say this to any individual person, because there's certain people who are pushing this that I know are subversive bad actors. And they know what they're fucking doing. Yeah. Then there's other people who are buying into it by saying like, well, maybe this is just what it takes because I don't want to go to jail. I don't want to upset people. So, no, it's just you either say the fucking truth or you don't. And if you're not going to, then why are we doing this?
Yeah.
Why are we doing anything? Go buy a smoker. I figured out a way to talk mad shit and also have a smoker. So I can walk and chew gum at the same fucking time.
Like, fucking right.
Other people's mistakes is they want to have a career in this. I want to have a career as a guy who sells takes. I want to have a career in the economy of takes. There's your first mistake.
Doesn't pay well.
If you have a career, I want to make $5,000 a month on X. I'm like, that's your second mistake. I don't want to do that. I want to lose money on X. That's what I do. That's my phrase. I was saying like I can see the future and lose money off it.
Yeah.
So guys, when you're watching the live episode, you get the late sound drops until we get our intern. That was a meme that every podcast had an intern for a while, but we could actually get a sound guy or gal.
It's so easy though. You just press the button.
Yeah. No, but I got so many sound effects. I have such a library in front of me. I got to scroll. I'm like, which one do I want?
Oh, look, Malak is Judas coming out as a Mossad plant by denying blood libel. No. Blood libel is 100% real. I'm just saying you don't have to frighten your aunt with that at Christmas. All you have to say is, let's examine the last names of Trump's cabinet. That's all you have to say.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, all that stuff is true. You can go into fucking, Zyklon B, you can go into blood libel, you can go into like everyone's got a library of examples. I can talk to your grandmother about the Talmud for like an hour, but I'm like, if you can just sell them on these basic rules of engagement, then they can wrap their head around that easier. Then they'll start asking you about stuff later, but don't just throw everything at them.
Yeah, the Talmud quotes is like the morel mushroom of anti-Semitism if it were cuisine. You're going to save that for yourself. You save it for discerning company, people who really know how to appreciate it. You don't share that with the swine at family dinner.
Oh, Credible Threat, yeah, bro, just speed run 2,000 years of anti-Semitic history. If you have to fight the urge, I know it's a very masculine urge to dump your autism on whoever's in the room of whatever it is. Like it could be this, it could be Warhammer, it could be the discography of Radiohead. That's a good 4 hours if you want to go down that road.
Here we go.
But you know what I mean? That fight the urge just to like it's the fucking thing, man. You know, you think it's one way, but it's the other, man. You know, deep inside every man, there's two wolves, and it's the same wolf. And it's a fucking like retarded beat guy in the fucking 60s going like, you know, the system, man. That's the wolf standing in front of a mirror in your mind, in every man. And every wife, every girlfriend knows that. Their guy's got that one thing where he's going to go off and just become that. The wolf will become unshackled and break free from the crystal mirror.
It's true.
Oh yeah, of a blood library. All right. So again, did we even get time? Are we going to have time to get to Nairaland?
Was that a thing? We're going to do that?
Yeah, I was going to. You know what? Let's just do this. I'm going to, like I said, I got very excited when I found this forum of just Africans talking about like fucking interracial strife and shit. And so I just started finding these posts like, I need someone from Noop ethnic group. Please, I need someone from Noop ethnic group. It's urgent, please. Thanks in anticipation. And I saw that and I said, well, what have I stumbled across here?
This is beautiful.
I love this. Just I like looking at an African site. You know what I mean? And I had some guys in the chat. This has been known in our circles for a while. I'm just the last guy to figure out about it. But they were saying that, you know, they were debating buying ads on this page for like their shit. Music's back. Sorry, everyone. The music went out for a second there. So here we go. This is what the first thing I saw. I'm going to try and switch this up so people can actually see it correctly here. A total ban on the use of ethnic slurs in Nairaland. Fellow Nairalanders, I don't know why they don't call themselves just Nigerians, but whatever.
Oh, is that what it is? It's Nigeria?
Pretty
Nairaland?
much.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know the whole band there, or the whole background there. We have noticed the use of ethnic slurs and other derogatory names by a small but persistent group of political actors and trolls. So that we're not going to allow that. And I said, well, I thought the same thing everyone's thinking. Can you name the slurs? What are these African slurs? I've never heard of this before. And then apparently they're debating about who is involved and saying, I advise you to remove because they'll only ban a person from a particular region. And I'm just trying to find, there's one I saw here. Hold on. I do not want to add a bookmark. Here we go. They said, make a comprehensive list or a comprehensive definition of what tribal slurs are. Tribe of the fallen demon has been used to insult people here. It's a phrase, not even a word. So they're asking for clarity. But apparently they got tribes of fallen demons over there.
Damn.
Say no to tribalism or cyberbullying. Because when you hear tribalism on our side, you think something different, because over there there's actual tribes.
Yeah, they're gonna like name each other's tribes and mock them. That's wild.
These useless tribal threads should be taken out within seconds, not allowed to gather reviews. I'm like, but what else is there? And I will say we're only gonna look at a few threads because I said this is a gold mine, right? But it's not, because there's like a car section where they're saying what's your favorite Toyota? I like this shitty Toyota, whatever, you know what I mean? Like, or it's like the love page is full of just prostitute ads and stuff. It's just what's going on. Their takes on China are not any different than a CNN comment section. Trump's very loud. I don't like a loud politician, you know. Soon get rid of the ethnic champion of a mod who bans someone. Let me see here. Listen to another. He called obedience young people. You see, Yoruba people, all of Una propaganda like, just look at this shit. I love this. Nobody's buying the Igbo gibberish. You people are fighting hard to sell. Told you APC goons make Una Day call. Sorry, I'm trying to just give people a speed from this.
It's barely legible.
Yeah. Here's another one. I had to read this one a few times. I'm sick of Nigerian men blaming my race for what the British did to you. So we got some black people being blamed for racism here. I'm tired of Nigerian men cherry picking history to suit your narrative and petty small minds. I just landed back in Nigeria to get back to my wife and some uneducated idiot blaming my whole race for the sins of a couple of nationalities. So they're even over there saying, like, no, blame the white people. Don't blame me. Blame the British. I don't even know what the British did in Nigeria, by the way. Do you know?
No fucking clue, man.
Was that just another opium place? Anyway.
Maybe.
It's time you foolish men acknowledge the fucking truth and stop pretending and lying about everything. All Nigerian tribes, all Nigerians are raping each other. Hey, you gotta wake up to the truth. We were all raping each other. We were all killing each other, taking each other to slaves for centuries before the British got here. Hey, here
British
we go.
hands wrote this.
Tea-soaked fingers typed this. You glorify your ancestors. Imagine being this guy, though. Like, kudos to him. Just a white British guy stepping off the plane and immediately taking on Nigeria. It's like, you motherfuckers. You were mean to me. You were all raping savages before I even got here. And FYI, stop lying about traditions and traditional weddings. Nothing that a Nigerian family calls a traditional wedding has anything to do with the fucking traditions your ancestors started. True. Traditionally, a woman never got a choice in who she married. The bride price was to reflect the effort the father made in raising his daughter. You think that's true?
I mean, why not?
So if a man undersells his daughter, he's basically saying, no, I didn't do a good job on this one.
But you want to oversell her because you want that fat dowry.
Would leftists call this capitalism?
Yes.
Would this not be capitalism, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's... Should we send left-wingers to Africa to find out?
Because you have to say, like, you're judging the value of something, right, and trying to sell it in an open market.
Are women property to you, dude? You're going to make me like black people. This is not good.
We're coming out of the Narnia Forum as subscribers. I'm going to be a paid subscriber by the end of this. You glorify all this shit, but the truth is you're celebrating fake traditions today based on female slavery, selling your daughters. Grow the bleep up. That's a white. That's mighty white of him.
Yeah.
Writing a bleep. I love this guy. And he screenshotted his own post. Love it.
Man.
The men in this country are absolute fucking idiots. Think this is women writing this? Or do men speak of other men like that?
I could imagine it being a woman. A Western educated woman.
This is wild because they're just saying like none of you are real, none of you are traditional, and the truly bleeped up. Maybe it's the forum. Do they didn't have curse words there? Maybe. Do you think they just don't have swears in Africa?
No, they probably have them. Look, they had to either they wrote it or the forum is replacing it. I think she just wrote it.
That's wild. I'm going with the theory that they don't have swears in Africa, and they just
doesn't exist.
Richard says we're on safari. You view the world through TV screens, phone screens, computer screens, tablet screens. Just a quick note: you could just say screens. That's a very African thing to do. I forgive you. That's why we're here. We're soaking in the local flavor. Anyway, I'm not going to spend too much long on here. Let me get to the real thing that I want to get to. Sex in the dream, wet dream, always a day before interviews. Great promise. That's the title of it.
Oh man.
See, and Richard here, he's trying to piss on my parade. Word filters? No, they don't have that over there.
There you go.
Why would they? Sex should be done in the physical between two lovers. Friend. Two lovers and a friend. I'm going to interpret that. Why would someone be having sex with a strange entity in the dream? Always a night he has a job interview, visa interviews. So again, I might be extrapolating this too much, but this to me sounds like a very common Nigerian thing. Why are you having sex dreams with entities the night before a job interview?
Good question.
I bet this is a thing that they all have to deal with. Do you have charms? Do you have pills? Besides, anytime someone promised him some money or gifts, he must have the wet dreams. When he wakes up, his boxer is always drained with sperm. He do recollects how he pleasurably engaged in the acts before he wakes up.
Buddy, what the fuck is this?
I want to ask him, like, is that a question? It's more of a comment, really. He always feels so weak. So what he's saying is, oh, I'm having sex dreams. I'm weak. My vril is depleted. Okay. When he gets the job interview, even with good qualification, he's always turned down because he busted too much the night before. This is the implication, obviously. His interviews at the embassies are always resulting in failures, because this sounds like he's editorializing a bit. It's like he goes to a big job interview at the embassy, and he's got cum all over his pants. I'm like, okay, well, very specific job. So
I love how specific it is. Like, this is something everyone is going to relate to. You know how you go to a job interview at the embassy, but you got cum all over your shirt? Shit.
then, despite your CV, they turn you away. You show up to the job interview with semen all over your pants. They say, you go. You say, look at my resume. They say, go see man. You are not allowed. Be gone. They cast spell. Now you are in the street. Be gone, see man. Promises upon promises from Germany, Sweden, and well-to-do friends are never fulfilled. We found something very special here. And I'm going to say this. We got a pretty good amount of live viewers tonight. It's time for Sweden to make this man whole.
Yeah.
I think Germany needs to do the right thing.
Bring it back around, Sweden.
Could the sex in the dream always be coincidence? Could the frequent experience always be thought of this man? Some would say it's the conscious mind that he has as being transferred into his subconscious that made him have such a dream. Jungian approach to this, admirable. Why would a wise man that has been suffering the needs of success always have a strong thought of having sex when he knows such thought is useless at that particular time? If I have $1 million, why do I think of pussy? I do not need this. I am at my spreadsheet. He wants success, not the stupid sexual thought. Like, why? He's too horny all the time. But I'm rich, he says. I love African problems. Why must this happen only the night before? Cobwebs, sex in the dream, are one of the strongest tools witches, wizards, enemies, evil ones use to attack people and block their way to success. They use it to delay their breakthrough. Ignorance is deadlier than HIV, Ebola, COVID-19.
Really?
Which, to be fair, I've heard like almost line for line, letter for letter from the Q crowd.
Yes.
This is worse than HIV. Fast and pray heavily, praying heavily. Now I've heard praying strongly, heavily. That would be just the pulling yourself down into prayer. Talk to a spiritualist now. Oh, I guess that's his number. Ooh, should we call him?
No way.
Oh, by the way, this is when
just dot in the phone number. Is that how they do phone numbers?
Just quick here. Russia is snake dream. U.S. is snake dream, but only Nigeria is sex. So
is that a real African shitpost?
It has to be. This can have come from a white mind. You know what I mean? Like, I love our guys, but you're not capable of writing something like this. This is very Africa coded. This is a future episode title, by the way. So this is real witch stuff. You gotta watch out for the witches. So we only have time to get to a couple other things. I really wanted to get your thoughts on this. So I'm going to switch to this right here. The Chinese embassy has been trolling America recently. Mm-hmm. They had a very Iran moment. You remember when that Iranian general was taken out by a drone? It's like from Trump, I believe, in his first presidency. And they had said, they asked for comment from Iranian officials, and they said, well, who would we assassinate? They don't have anyone as beloved as this general. And they said, who do we assassinate? SpongeBob? And I guess that was supposed to elicit a laugh. It was an incredibly weak position, of course. So the Chinese embassy, some people are laughing at this, but I'm like, yeah, but this is like a weak move, just memeing. We're in a meme war right here. But look, embassy, art of the deal. Okay, ha 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 ha. Here's another one. This one's actually not bad. I like this one if people can see here. Uncle Sam. Okay, you get it. Very good. Stone toss quality, in my opinion. There's a lot of strength in just the imagery alone. But this is all leading up to something I had seen. Are luxury bags actually made in China? Viral video claims otherwise. So I want to show the viral video right here. I was coming across this. Let me know if you can hear this. You should be able to.
Why don't you just contact us and buy from us? You won't believe the prices we give you. So now to some...
You can hear that, right?
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, so what I'm showing you is there is a trend on TikTok of, due to the trade war, due to all the tariffs, you're seeing these Chinese factories reaching out directly to American consumers in English on these platforms saying like, oh, we have designer luxury bags. All of your favorite brands actually work with us. The only thing they do is they take it back over to France, to Italy, wherever, and stamp their logo on it. But if you're okay with not having a logo, you can get the same high quality bag from us. And I'm just going to, here's an example of what they were doing.
Sum those up, the total cost will be 1,400 USD for one Birkin out of factory. But why Hermes will charge you 38,000 USD for one bag? That's because more than 90% of the price is paid for its logo. But
Just a comment. It sounds like they're almost trying to do a country western version of like a song to appeal to Americans, but it's still just the same Chinese song you would imagine in your racist mind.
Yeah, it's really strange.
Like, just come up with like a racist Chinese song, and it's like that, but it's also with a banjo now.
if you do not care about the logo, you just want the same quality, same material, you can just buy from us. Because for our bags, we use exactly the same material, same leather, same hardware, same edge oil.
So
Well,
that's just,
it's got the Chinese edge oil. There you go.
they got that over there. You can't even get edge oil over here right now. It's causing an epidemic. So I just saw that. And then I saw, this article in Newsweek, because I saw that and it smelled fishy to me. But it seemed to align with a lot of people's prejudices about the fashion industry writ large, which is that, oh, all this stuff is made in sweatshops and they just put a logo on it. So it's good that they're blowing up their spot. Okay, sure. Maybe people hate the fashion industry or they don't understand it. I'm not an expert, but I also looked at that and said, this is a deeply untrustworthy head shape. Like, that guy just seemed like a sweatshop owner. And he's like, you'll buy from me. You'll never regret. Like, no, there's something off about your aura. Yeah. And also, I know that they're fucking liars. All they do, if you're a factory owner in China, I assume you're lying about whatever it is you're producing. It's my job to figure out what specifically you're lying about.
Yeah.
Right. So what's your read on that situation?
It's 100% right. So I've dealt with that exact guy, literally this guy, because there's 10 million of that fucking guy. And that guy exists in a world of deceit. Deceit is all he knows. And he is a sweatshop owner. And that's why his hair looks like that. And what's going on is he's losing his factory because of the tariffs, and he's trying to rationalize to people on fucking Temu why they should pay a 300% markup on something that previously was only $40. Now, this isn't a judgment on the statement that designer Italian bags are or are not made in China. They probably are, but this motherfucker isn't the one making them. And I've said before, because I've been there and I've seen this shit, there are super high-end factories in China. The video of that guy, that was not one of them. That was worse than my factory. That motherfucker is poor. He doesn't make shit. So he just wants your money. But the funny thing is how many people buy this, and I don't know, you're just not exposed to the world, I guess. You don't know what people look like. So you'll watch that and be like, oh, maybe he's telling the truth. But yeah, you see a fat Chinese guy of that age with that haircut, he is trying to rape you.
Yeah, also, it seemed like a phenomenal self-own communicating to people. It's like, you think that $30,000 handbag is worth $30,000? Guess what? It's produced over here by me, by my stupid fucking Chinese ass. And so you should buy it from me. And what they're really communicating is like, no, that means that I'm mad at the brand, but I'm also mad at you. Like, I'm not going to buy from you. I'm going to go to the brand and say, make it so this guy isn't involved at all.
Yeah, as if anybody who buys those bags, as if anybody who pays 38 grand for a bag is concerned about the quality and the edge oil. Come on. Like, this is, but again, don't treat this guy with so much respect as to think that he is actually rational in the same way that you are. He is a desperate animal trying not to, I mean, if he fails this, he's going to just throw himself on the top of the building, right?
Well, also, there's some bags, and this is just on Newsweek we're looking at right now. They're going with the line, they take almost finished bags from China and they just do the repackaging. But there are many luxury brands that actually are produced entirely in France, in Italy,
yes. Oh, there's tons.
like they say.
Because it's literally not difficult at all to produce them. And for that value, they could be like, it doesn't make any sense. There's no reason for them to produce them in China. The only people who produce in China are people who are scraping the margins of profitability.
Yeah, you have to believe that. And again, I'm not a fashionista, but I do believe in craftsmanship. And it says right here, Hermes for the part, do not manufacture bags in China. They make their bags in fucking France. It takes between 15 and 40 hours to create a single bag. So that's one of the reasons it is inflated. But at the end of the day, you might want to say that, all these bags are fucking bullshit. Okay, sure, maybe I don't get them. They're not for me. But there is a craftsmanship involved, and there's this narrative that's like, oh no, Chinese people do it, because they're trying to sell you that Chinese factories can produce at that same level, and the fact of the matter is they fucking can't.
Well, again, they can, but not that guy. They can, but not that guy.
I saw an interview with Tim Cook, and he was saying that the reason they have the factories in China is not because of the price, it's because their skills at tooling are so advanced compared to whatever they can get anywhere else, and they're there because the Chinese manufacturers.
That's like saying we need to import immigrant labor because there's nobody willing to work. What you mean is there's nobody willing to work at the wages you're offering. And likewise with China, they're saying it's the most advanced tooling on Earth. Well, it's the most advanced tooling on Earth for that price point. So yes, they do have tooling in China that approaches the sort of most advanced tooling on Earth that, to my understanding, exists actually in Italy and Germany. But you can't quite get all the German tooling that you would get. You can't get it in China, but what you can get is something pretty close, and it's at a discount. So if you need bulk, high-quality stuff done, you can get it done in China, and it is discounted compared to Germany. But to say that they're good at anything is fucking ludicrous, because everything that they have, the technology is either stolen or purchased from Europe or America, and everything there is commissioned. Even if it's their own technology, they don't know how to operate it. It's commissioned generally by Europeans, not by Americans, but by Europeans.
And also keep in mind, just to bring this back to the Chinese, let's keep this within the handbag example, that these factories are kept alive exclusively by the Western middle class. Because if you think of what a luxury bag represents, yes, it's like a $30,000, $50,000 purchase. That's for the upper echelons of society. They're always going to buy that because it's a status symbol, because it is well made. But a lot of these factories aren't producing those. Those are produced in France. What they are producing is not necessarily knockoffs, because the brands will actually commission them, but they have sort of the middle class versions of an Hermes bag, which is attainable for the middle class, right? And the middle class, there's so much consumer, like high grade stuff that's brought down to their level. But it's that entire glut of society. But if they just decided to stop buying them, or if the markets weren't being flooded with them, I don't think we would miss it. You would still live in a world with expensive luxury goods. There would just be fewer of, like if these Chinese factories disappeared, let's just say the tariffs persist forever, you would have fewer nice bags for stay-at-home moms, but maybe that's okay. Maybe that doesn't fucking matter. You know what I mean? Like maybe we don't need more consumer packaged goods, like that whole middle class thing. There'll
And-
be less options, but maybe we don't need more options if it came at the cost of keeping this fucking sweating loser in business across the world.
It's also not so cut and dry, because if you say on the one hand of the spectrum, you had your case, which is to say that if the tariffs stay on forever, then all of those middle income medium products would disappear and those consumers wouldn't get them. I think the reality would be somewhere between that and literally nothing changes, because a lot of what goes on economically in China is slave economy shit. And what we know historically from our own example as North Americans, from Rome, from elsewhere, the slave economy actually undermines the ability to automate and innovate and improve production. So the existence of Chinese garbage coming across is, and as much as I hate Trump, he's correct in some sense that preventing Chinese garbage from flooding the market will actually allow, over a long period of time, industry to come back, and you will find, you won't replace all of it, but you will find a new niche market of, medium quality goods that are now produced in the US that weren't produced before. And it's not going to replace all of it, but it'll replace maybe the upper half or the upper third of that market. Absolutely.
We were talking about this in the chat the other day. I had recorded a Real Secret Coffee Hours episode on this. In fact, I'm just going to throw this up on screen right now. If people want to subscribe to our paywall show, Real Secret Coffee Hours, it's on Gumroad, it's on Patreon. Give that a look. But I just did one on an article that we were discussing in the community, which was, what if we made advertising illegal? And just puzzling that out, what it would look like. And a lot of people think advertisers are driving a lot of this shit that you see, and they're responsible for advertisements, but most of the time it's the businesses themselves and the clients. So do we have too many advertisements, or do we have too many businesses? That's a much harder question. And also, if advertising goes away, what fills its place? And I said a real problem that's either undiagnosed or underdiagnosed is the fact that if you look around in your life right now, you and me and most people, we actually don't see that many ads, not like we used to. I think the peak would have been maybe the 60s. But if I pay attention to my life, I don't really see a lot of billboards ever anymore. Online ads aren't really that present like they used to be. But there's still obviously paid promotion. What's stepped in as advertising has declined in popularity? Basically paid sponsorships and influencer marketing. So what is driving that? Well, part of it's the advertisers, but part of it is more people than ever just being fucking prostitutes. I think I made a joke that said, the second oldest business in the world is probably advertising. The first is being a whore, and we actually need to solve for the whore issue, because if advertising goes away tomorrow, we haven't solved for the problem of us, all of our friends, actively right now trying to find sponsorship from brands. That's what every influencer is trying to do. They're hungry for brand sponsorships. They're hungry. That's what X is, by the way, guys. If someone's trying to make money selling takes on X, it's basically the same thing. They're whoring themselves out for controversy, but hoping to get money off it. So there's a darker rot in this society. Advertising kind of a low-hanging fruit to pick on, but like deeper than that, it's the monetization of relationships. And that's maximized in the technological age. So anyway, I forget where I was going with this, but yeah, I'm just looking at the chat right now. Hold on. Here we go. Bill Wilson, I'm late because I had to get in the house on about China. They weren't even able to make ballpoint pens until a few years ago due to the machining needing for the tiny ball bearings in the cartridge. Judas, is that true as a factory?
That sounds about right. That sounds like I don't know if that exact example is true, but from my experience working with them, that is exactly the sort of thing that is true of them. They're great at copying things, mostly because they don't give a fuck about the rules. They just copy it, and if 4 people die in the process and it still doesn't work, they can always change their name and move to another town. And that's how they operate. So they will try anything, and the simple stuff works. But there's a lot of stuff, like I'm saying, a lot of stuff at the higher end they're capable of doing only because their labor and resources are cheaper, but the technology and the ability to manage it, not just to commission the plant. I'm talking about commissioning, like setting up the equipment, calibrating it, programming it is all done by Europeans. And then the actual management is often still done by Europeans because they don't have the organizational ability to handle it. And that's not, I'm not saying there are no cases of them, but I mean, you look at Europe, all of European industry is run by Europeans. You look at Chinese industry, the top 1% that keeps the thing chooching along is European and has always been.
Yeah, let me just, a couple of things here. Vitalist says, walks into a grocery store, sees thousands of ads simultaneously. And this is the problem I was getting to, that people are just calling visual pollution ads. Like, basically what you're saying is packages on products are also ads.
I was going to push back on the same thing, though. Like, I mean, I think it's a semantic thing, but for me, like when I was making that argument in the chat the other day, that is what I was talking about. That when I walk, the grocery store's a great one because like we can say that's an ad or it's not an ad. But when I go, there's like an end cap on the aisle at the grocery store, and instead of that end cap being a product, it's a full size image of a woman with a low cut shirt holding a yogurt. So to me, that's an advertisement, and I don't want to see that. I really don't. I'm angry about that.
That's what I was trying to drill down into, and even here, like Sex Freakman says, no, we're drowned out on various levels of covert ads. Well, that's what I was getting at. What do you mean by covert ad? Because then you're actually getting away from what an advertisement is, which is a paid placement, which is like a billboard, a commercial, which people hate. But then it's like, well, it's in the news too. Okay, so it's actually news and academia. What you're saying is you don't like this system. But let's just be careful what we're saying here. If you're saying that everything's corrupt, well, then let's talk about the corruption. But not just saying advertising, that's kind of the low-hanging fruit. And if you're, like someone had mentioned before, you know, the real problem is advertising in the form of pharma executives lobbying the government. Like, okay, that's not fucking advertising then, guys. You just don't like corporate corruption. So really what you have a problem is with businesses. So if we take the example of I walk into a grocery store and I can see 1,000 ads. So what you don't like is that there are thousands of products. Each one of those products has a label like an ad. So if the argument is that there's too many products, okay. But let's actually make sure, and if that argument is that there's too much visual pollution, okay.
I'll steelman it here. I don't think there's anything wrong with anybody putting whatever the fuck they want on the package of their own product. I was talking about end caps. Like when I walk into the shop, the end cap, which is like, 2.5 feet wide, 6 feet tall, bent out label on the end of the aisle, is showing something which has somewhere on that 1% of the surface area is a product and the rest of it is a fat-titted black woman. That's what I don't like. And it's not because it's a black woman necessarily, but it's because, like, can't that just be products? I'd like to see the products. Show me the products, right? But you're not. You're showing me, hey, if I want to be happy and enjoy myself, I should be a fat black woman.
Well, here's Sex Treatment. I'm talking about the indirect payments, to be clear. Like if you know the gaming review discourse, for example, he's talking about Gamergate, of course. And I agree completely, but that's kind of what I was talking about before, which is that the real issue is that there's a huge amount of people that want to be prostitutes for corporations. So the idea behind Gamergate was you're a game company. You've got a product, and I need to get reviews out there. It turns out I've got 20,000 people who don't even want to be paid to review the ad. They actually just want the game for free. And I say, okay, here you go. And because they're so excited and jazzed about it, they're going to give me a positive review. So on one hand, I'm not even buying a review, but there's a sea of independent journalists who are basically reporter prostitutes who are, if you give them a free Funko Pop, they'll sing your praises to their audience of 50,000 people. It's worse than advertising, what I'm saying. So what I'm saying is advertising is the paid placement of your message in a space. It takes up space, and it's ugly. It annoys people. But if we're just saying and that's why I separate from propaganda. It's like propaganda, advertising, all the same. Well, no, propaganda is actually much more nefarious.
So propaganda, you're saying advertising is a specific edge case of the problem, and it's unfairly maligned when it is actually only one of the many tendrils of a larger issue.
Well, because the question was, what would happen in society if advertising was outlawed? And I said, well, here's what would happen. We would see more money pour into these other things which aren't even technically advertising.
Right.
Unless you're saying that advertising also includes loud packaging that is made to, because it's like advertising is emotionally manipulative. I'm like, well, so's politics. Okay, well that politicians advertise themselves too. I'm like, okay, so we're outlawing politics. Good.
KOLs on social media. Sorry, not KOLs. KOLs on social media could entirely replace advertising overnight if advertising was made quote unquote illegal. because KOLs are doing the exact same thing. It's just a different mode. But if you made like radio ads illegal, if you made like ad reels on YouTube illegal, you just have more KOLs.
Well, and this is what, yeah, exactly. And someone said like a happy ad merchant because I work in marketing. I'm saying like advertising is pretty much dead. Like it's almost dead already. A lot of the stuff we're complaining about, it's the evolution of messaging along other channels. That's going beyond just like it would be more quaint, and it would be easier for us if it was just very clearly, I'm paying for a message. Here's the message. You should buy this hammer or whatever. But if we're starting to define advertising as just incentivizing your message to an audience to amplify to their audience, I mean, that's people trying to go viral on X too. You know what I mean? Like if we get too vague with the definition, then we're all in the guillotine at that point. Anyway, it sounds like I'm defending ads. I'm just saying ads suck, but you can understand ads. And that's why when we talk about propaganda, you're hoping that if you make advertising illegal, then propaganda disappears.
Yeah.
I'm saying it's not going to disappear.
Yeah,
you're hoping that if advertising goes away, OnlyFans disappears. A platform never really advertised much was OnlyFans. You know what platform never advertised was like Tinder and Grindr. They don't really have a marketing budget, and yet here, you know what I mean? So anyway, continue.
I think the larger thing, and you said this earlier, it's a matter of pollution. It's like a visual or like a noise pollution thing that bothers us. Because somebody else in the chat had said, "Hey, I wouldn't mind the ads if only the ads were like it was Bibles or like it was doing what." Like, yeah, no, I get what you're saying. It's not the concept of selling a thing. It's that the way that you're doing it is damaging a shared environment in a way that literally everybody is mad about, and yet you're still allowed to do it because libertarianism or fucking something, right? Because it's a private space, I can put what I want on. No, fuck you, you cannot put that there. So yeah, I mean, I would be totally happy with saying it's not about advertising, it's about like visual or like the pollution of the public space.
And Ted LaFaro asks, is propaganda advertising? Can government run ads about joining the army? Well, propaganda would be different than running army ads, because you can look at it like we all laugh at army ads, and that's why army recruitment's down. But if you look at what propaganda was classically, when we were talking about Edward Bernays and his work in public relations, and even Jacques Ellul in his book on propaganda, I liked Ellul's description of propaganda as it's the message that you follow that you don't even necessarily believe. Because advertising needs to be persuasive. It needs to at least try and change your mind about something or get you to adopt an idea and like the idea in a sense. But propaganda doesn't need to do that. Propaganda is something that sits outside of your own interests. It's something you're propagandized when you know you can't do something that you want to do, but you you actually end up policing other people for that behavior as well. That's what a propagandized person does. Mm-hmm. You want to know what a propagandized person does? It's just one example is like how often we police ourselves for Fed posting. We even propagandize that
right.
most of the discourse that actually matters is Fed posting. Mm-hmm. That's what actually happened in heavily propagandized countries, that not only were you afraid to talk, you were angry at someone else, even your own family, for talking about it, and you would turn them into the police. That's what propagandized people looks like. That's not a fucking hammer ad. I'm sorry, guys. It sounds like this is semantics, but you know what? Words fucking matter. And, when people say the targeting apparatus, there was a comment here. It's like, well, I have advertising the targeting apparatus. I'm like, okay, I can give you the insider take. What do we mean by targeting apparatus? What is involved? Is it advertising agencies? Not really. The targeting apparatus, what we call big data, that's government and that's social media platforms. So what you have is advertisers trying to utilize that, but they're not even really allowed to. Anyone who's run ads on Facebook knows this. You can't really target based on anything anymore. Guys, go run a TikTok ad right now. Look at your targeting parameters. Your country, gender, and whether they're into like automotive stuff. You can't target more on that. I
remember digging into that at Google on our company, and it's like, so I could, whether you prefer housewares or home renovations, like that's as narrow as you can get with it.
Yeah, and they have the data, they have the tools, they all do, but no one really has access to it. The government has it. They're doing something with it. They're trying to track you. But is that advertising, or is that big data? Or is that the fucking NSA?
Yeah.
Or is that social media? And again, I don't group all of that under advertising. Again, if advertising disappeared tomorrow, do we still have big data? Do we still have information scraping going on? Yes. And it's used for worse things. There's the annoying thing goes away, but them creating a tulpa of you within their server and torturing it to see how you'll react in hypothetical future circumstances, that still happens.
And then what about the feed? What about not posts that are paid for sponsorship, but posts that are put on your feed because the algorithm of the platform thinks that you need to watch that for whatever motivation they have to put it there, right? That's not advertisement. That's something, and that, I mean, I would say that's even more damaging than actual advertisement.
Yeah,
right.
And
they're
I'm not even
guiding
saying
you down this path.
The thing is, I'm not even trying to say any of this to excuse advertising, because I said no one likes advertising, and advertising is dying as a result. But if we want to game this out, what actually happens? Well, I'll tell you what fucking happens.
Yeah. If you're mad about advertising, good. Here are other things in the same basket you should be equally mad about.
Yeah,
Let's be mad about all of them together.
And my concern, and I should have established this more at the start, was that my concern was that if people think that if we make advertising illegal, all this other stuff goes away.
No.
Because they think, almost like from a leftist point of view, like if we just got rid of the profit incentive, we wouldn't have human manipulation anymore. And like that's a very reductive way of looking at the problem, which is actually a set of problems. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, advertising, I'm like, yeah. Look, you don't like billboards. No one likes billboards. If you look in Canada, there's crazy billboard laws. You actually don't really see them anymore. If you're driving on the highway, the rule is you actually can't put billboards by the side of the road. You got to put them on like a distant hill. So people just don't really do it anymore. So, and I'm like, I don't mind that. Just like when they took plastic bags away, I don't really give a shit. We had too many plastic bags. I don't care about the plastic bag manufacturers, whatever. We use totes now, whatever. But yeah, if we want to be serious about what the problem is and the definitions and what forces are driving it, that's why I think it's this other stuff. And so, a credible threat. I think advertising itself is propaganda for surveillance. Surveillance isn't so bad if it sells me cool stuff. Well, I think those are two different things. Like surveillance, like advertising company. Like, okay, we're spending a lot of time on this. I didn't intend to go off in the weeds on this, but it's good people are asking questions. I'm not riled up, or I don't have my back up about the questions, because these are teachable moments. One question I always ask people is, do you hate advertising, or do you hate what's being advertised? So, what do you hate about advertising? You hate that you hate seeing interracial relationships. You hate seeing degeneracy. You hate seeing, like, everyone's tired of seeing bad ads. Well, what if the ads were good? What if the ads were eugenic? What if the ads were beautiful or reaffirmed aesthetics in some way? Would you like it? And they'll probably say, you probably say no in theory, because you actually take a principled opposition to this. But a lot of people would say, oh, I just don't like that the ad is selling me on a bad thing. Yeah. If it was a good thing, I'd like it. Okay, so do we remove advertising or these specific advertisers? Then you ask, now, people tend to think of advertisers as all working in an agency, but for a lot of the larger brands, it's just the company itself buying ads. So it is just fucking Gillette or Goodyear or whatever, and they just buy ad space. They have their own team, so it's not even an advertiser unless you want to say that the company itself is responsible, which is actually the case, especially for small businesses. A lot of ads are small businesses. It is that mom and pop shop designing their own ad and trying to sell it. So it's hard to even draw the line between an advertiser and just the business. And that's why I was trying to put forward that idea, is like, maybe the problem is that there's too many businesses, there's too many products, and it's being artificially kept afloat. And then I was looking at the marketplace solution, like how much of it is only available because of the slave labor marketplace. You know what I mean? So if we actually cut away these bad things, maybe a lot of these products dry up because they deserve to dry up. And once those products and those companies disappear, then the advertising goes away anyway. See what I'm saying? Yeah. But then people are out of work. And so then there's a very complicated socioeconomic discussion to have there. But, I'm not sold on just, that's 10,000 jobs evaporated. I'm like, well, we don't need to just save jobs all the time. You know what I mean? Like if the jobs are nefarious, like how many Japanese whalers?
Jobs are a means to an end, right? Like it's like with anything. It's like, oh well, we GDP line go down. Like who cares though? Like there's something else that's outside of that we're actually trying to achieve, of which GDP is only a marker. And likewise, saying like employment, full employment, less employment, whatever. What we're trying to do is you want to go outside into the world and have a walk down the street and have an enjoyable time and be around people who are happy and healthy and have a community, right? And yes, the jobs thing is a component of that, but if we're destroying the community just so that we can keep jobs numbers going up, like, come on, that's stupid.
Well, also one example would be the problem of Japanese whalers or even Chinese fishers, where they're absolutely decimating these marine biomes.
Oh, but those poor fishermen, they'd lose their job if they stopped destroying them. Like, fuck off. They can find other work.
Would you rather have 5,000 old Chinese men make a living wage or have that one whale? I'm going to pick the one whale. Sorry. Like, I'd actually rather have the squid and the shrimp and shit and not have to go underwater and just see a barren desert. And if that means that a million old Chinese guys with the exact same face just are out of work, well, I don't fucking care. What button do I press to get that? I don't give a shit. Sorry, there's a tote manufacturer I drive by. Interesting stuff. I mentioned totes, and now people are saying, Michi Peachy saying I'm a fashionista. By totes, I just meant that grocery stores, and she knows this. She's just trying to fucking put a stick of dynamite in my Rockstar Zero Sugar energy drink. But that's in Canada. We don't have plastic bags. They made them illegal, but you can buy reusable bags from like a grocery store.
They're great, by the way. I don't know why. Like we right wingers actually care about the environment. Genuinely, we like to conserve. So yeah, I know. Why wouldn't you have a fabric bag that you just reuse 1,000 times? I have totes that I bought in Hong Kong 10 years ago. They're in the back of my car. I still use them, and they look great. So
yeah, and so I'm like, yeah, that was a good thing, and I know that was the overreach of the state in some sense. We didn't vote on that. It's just, I'm like, you know what? I don't care. We had plastic bags were the dumbest thing to have a mountain made out of. We could, how much of my convenience is worth just piling up as a giant tumor on the face of the planet. So yeah, sure, okay. Bill Wilson banning plastics but Aryan coated. Anyway, we've been going over. We got into a big advertising thing. I hope I made myself clear, because it's very likely that some people saw this as saying like, I'm not making the argument that, if you ban advertising, how are businesses going to succeed? I'm not even saying that. I'm saying the opposite. I'm saying maybe the businesses shouldn't succeed, and that's part of the problem. It's actually that advertising, if it went away, I don't think it would solve all the problems. And I'm trying to list the depth of the problems themselves, and not make people forget, or if people think that it's like the advertising sphere that encompasses all of these. But if you understood how fucking stupid advertising agencies were, I mean, I don't need to convince you guys. How many bad ads have you seen? Like, do you know who works? And you know that, what's that meme? Gen Z boss in a mini itty bitty tees and a bob. That's every ad agency. Like, I'm not joking. I worked in them. I've worked in big agencies in Toronto and elsewhere. It's full of the dumbest, retarded cunts you've ever seen in your life, and guys who don't want to be there, and they're drunk all the fucking time, and they're just trying to lie in reports every month, lie about how things are working, and it's not. And then sometimes you have a Nerf gun fight. That's it. These are not competent people. And you can see this reflected in the fact that ads are very stupid and they're ugly. If advertising was good, it would work.
Yeah.
Here's a good example. For anyone who's even worked in advertising knows what I'm talking about. I am noticing that around springtime, you start seeing ads, because you have to keep the copy or the writing, the text on them, very limited. And so you start seeing ads in the spring that just say spring fling. And you'll see that in an ad for tires. You'll see that in an ad for real estate. Just the phrase spring fling, it doesn't mean anything. And you as the viewer saying, okay, it's spring. They're telling me it's spring. Someone some graphic designer thought, well, I got to let them know that it's spring, but what are you advertising? What does this mean? You know what I'm saying? But like, it's such a stupid nonsense thing to produce, and only a fucking insane moron would produce it. And sometimes you just have to snap out and say, oh, these are just insane morons.
Yes. No mistake was made. It was intentional and they're stupid. Yep.
Yeah, it's our spring fling tire sale. Someone thought that I saw like an advertising in the mall. There's a mall advertising for itself in a mall, which is very funny to me. Like you're in the mall and it's saying, hey, mall advertisement, and it just has spring fling, and there's like a woman on it. I'm like, what are you communicating? I don't understand. But I'm looking at this and someone spent 7 hours producing that.
Somebody was told that there needs to be a thing on that screen, and so they did their job and they put it there.
Oh, Ted points out, I remember in 2010, almost every commercial had the phrase now more than ever in it. Yes, here's the thing about advertising agencies is, and this is anecdotal. People can get as conspiratorial as they want about it, but one thing I notice is they're never setting the conversation culturally. They're always following it up. Remember that ALS ice bucket challenge?
Yeah.
Remember that? That was just something done by the ALS Society. Then here's the process that happens. A dumb fat bitch sees that meme and later on in the week goes into a brainstorming session and says, I noticed that the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge is very popular organically. It's a real moment. Why don't we do that? Why don't we do that for Breyer's ice cream? And then the creative director, who is stoned out of his mind, and it's Wednesday morning, he's like, okay, like, yeah, I like that. I've seen that. That's interesting. Okay. How do we make that work? And they've already accepted the premise they should have rejected because it doesn't make any sense. I was like, how do we make that work? So you start seeing advertisers, they just follow trends. They don't really set trends. So the idea is by the time an advertising agency is trying to make hay on this, it's done. It's not cool. It's fucking over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You would see like, then there's these things like Vice. Vice lives in between. Vice was at once a publication and an ad agency. And so their thing was to try and create a trend and monetize it immediately. BuzzFeed was like that too. But the collapse of those organizations was very interesting to me because you wouldn't have these hybrid organizations anymore, which was like, how much can we monetize a journalistic organization, or how culturally relevant can we make an advertising agency? It was one of those things. And different companies came out from different angles. And the fact that those fell apart, spectacularly at different times tells me that it's really just advertisers and space now. They try these experiments to see if they could fuse them, and people have a distaste for it. I think Vice is still around, but you know what I mean? It's not where it once was. So anyway, we have to get going now. I'm just trying to check the Richard advertising the concept of spring. I know, it's funny. You could even say it's dystopian, I suppose. Steve Buscemi with a skateboard all the way down says, Facile Goose, agreed. Sex Freakman, kind of crazy how meta it is. We got accustomed to ads, so you can just make one with spring flings. The brand name in the corner, your eyes will automatically zero in on the brand, so it works. And here's what's interesting, and this is why I said ads are dying, is because, and you will experience this if you live in an urban center, especially a big urban center. My immediate one would be Toronto, but I've been to New York too. So if you think of it, Pittsburgh, I don't give a fuck. How much of your day do you spend canceling things out of your vision? You probably don't think about it.
Yep.
But this is one thing I was getting at before, where are we grouping storefronts as advertisements? Fair question. They kind of act as advertisements, but it's also their property. Why can't they advertise a storefront, right? Okay, but as a man, I'm speaking to you, obviously you don't look at that, and you've trained yourself like, I'm not going to look at that. I know there's a billboard there and I'm purposefully not looking at it. It's totally subconscious. It's just Pavlovian. And you do that so even Sex Freakman, they're saying like you're kind of drawn to the ad. I think the case is that more people have trained themselves to ignore ads in very dynamic ways. Like I can't. This is what the billboard guys don't want to tell you. And I worked in billboards for like a couple of years, and like people very aggressively do not look at billboards. Like, it is flushing money down the toilet. People very angrily ignore radio ads. It's very rare that they're tuned into them. It's like they just train themselves to like, I'm making a point to tune out of this out of spite. And there's more people trained, like younger generations, they're just in a different wavelength. This stuff works on boomers, obviously. Boomers watch commercials, but millennials and down, they've just adopted a different programming. So advertising just doesn't even enter into their world. And that's hard to explain to some people. However, influencers do. However, you know, all kinds of other shit does, especially if they say, you know, we're not going to work with ad agencies. We're going to work with individuals who want to make themselves into an ad agency, which is every woman on OnlyFans. How many women went on OnlyFans to be a whore, found that they couldn't make money with their butt and vagina, and now they're open to whatever. Maybe they're still on OnlyFans, but now they got the tire company sponsoring them, right? People are generally in a prostitution mindset right now, which is way worse than just buying a fucking billboard. That's my concern anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, we have to get going now. We've been going for like just over 2.5 hours. I hope everyone enjoyed. Any final thoughts, Judas, by the way?
No, thanks a lot, Bimes. It's been great. Thanks.
All right. I will talk.